Are you ready to go?
You're ready to go.
Okay. Now remember, these guys know all the old history.
Well, I guess if you can recall, I'm kind of curious about Grandma and Grandpa's parents' names, both of them. So there's 4 names there that
Well, you take over on that.
I don't even know.
Historian. Who's the historian?
Mother's parents' name were Carswell, you know
Yeah,
Leo?
I remember that.
Okay. Grandpa Tarswell was William Albert Tarswell, and he married Ellen Dwyer, and they were Mother's parents along with
Dwyer?
Dwyer.
D-W-Y-E-R?
Right, real Irish, and we think that a lot of these homilies that we're working on are things that came from the Irish family of the Dwyers way back when. Of course, there were a lot of the families associated with a lot of Irish people, so it's probably a combination of the McGratts and the Sullivans and the Conleys and all of the Irish. So that was Mother's parents. Dad's parents were Mary Sullivan, and Grandpa Lonergan's name was James William, like our brother Jim. His name for Grandpa
And Grandpa.
Lonergan.
Both grandpas.
Mm-hmm.
Were all 4 of those, were they all born in the U.S.?
No,
Yes,
Grandpa
they were.
Tarswell came over when he was 6 years old from England. Remember?
Did he?
Mother said.
Well, his parents came from England, and
Said I thought he was
he was
6
born
years
there.
old when
Perhaps
he
he
came.
was. I don't.
Because he had an Aunt Emily. There was an Aunt Emily, and she stayed in England. Mother said that was an English name. And they named Mother Emily, but they didn't call her Emily, they called her Emma. She said if she ever had a daughter, she would call her Emily, and she wouldn't have called Emily, but she wasn't called Emily, she just called Em.
I was going to say, we took care of that, didn't we, Em?
I have a Bible at home that's yay big, that Grandpa Tarswell, Mother's father, it's his handwriting, and he put down names of all of the children, their birth dates, and his wife's siblings, and when they were married, and it's got a lot of history, and the names wouldn't be meaningful to you because you don't know any of those people, but Grandpa was an historian, I guess you would say. He liked to do stuff like that.
Do you have photographs of any of these people?
I'm sure we do someplace. I tell you who has photographs of family is my son Butch.
Okay.
He
And
keeps them on the wall.
And lately, we were up there, when was it, in Christmas, Thanksgiving, sometime we were, which it was for my birthday maybe. And I was looking at all of the pictures. He has a large, probably a space like that that's filled with family pictures. And Mother would give Butch any pictures she ever found of her Papa. She called him Papa. Because she thought Butch looked like Papa.
Mm-hmm.
Then one day Mary Helena called. Anyway, this whole wall is filled, and Butch came along while we were talking about it, and he said, I have so many, I've had to start around the corner. So we went around the corner, and here was this picture of Grandma Lonergan, Dad's mother, and I said to him, where did you get that picture? And he looked at me and he said, well, you brought it to me, Mother.
Oh.
It was a picture. See, this is what happens. This was a space of about 6 months. But where the picture came from, when we were growing up, there were pictures of Grandma and Grandpa Lonergan, Grandma and Grandpa Tarswell in our, what we call the living room, where they ever went to. Did you ever wonder
No,
what
and then
happened?
beautiful antique frames. The frames
They
were gorgeous.
like mahogany frames about that
Mother
wide.
probably burned.
Threw 'em in the ditch.
But you know what, Mother wanted to modernize and get rid of old stuff.
They want in
She
memory.
took the baseboard, you know, what you would prize today. Baseboards about like this, that was, she
Ripped
called
them
it
right
bird's eye
off.
maple. I don't know what kind of maple it was, but anyway, she had those all ripped out and replaced them with little
Which,
more
which house was this?
Oh, country home where we all lived, born and raised.
The wood, well, you know what the
Wainscoting
stairway was
up
like.
Oh,
halfway
and
up
probably,
the
and
kitchen
probably the
wall,
crown
all the way
molding up
around.
top too?
Yeah, oh yeah, the
Where
picture
the-
wall, and that was a picture
And she
wall.
took that down too?
Oh, absolutely, that's
Oh.
probably
Well,
one of
she
the things.
probably took the
That's
pictures
one
out of those
picture wall.
frames and threw the frames in the dish.
Oh my God.
She had the most gorgeous pewter sugar bowl and creamer set, remember it?
Oh, yes.
Well, it gets more gorgeous as you
No, but
think
it was,
about it.
no, but it was a good size, and I can remember the engraving on it.
Oh, God.
I used to sit there and trace it when I had to eat the oatmeal every morning. Oatmeal every morning.
Stick to your ribs, Eve.
But I want to
Stick
tell
to
you
your
about
ribs.
this picture that I forgot I'd given Butch. Mary Helena Magner and Paul have just the one daughter, Michelle. And they are the age that Em and I are, that we're, you know, getting things kind of organized
Getting-
because we know we're not going to be here too much longer. And the time we have left, we may have forgotten what to do with it. But anyway, Mary Helena called me one day and said, you know, we've been going through the attic and we have this picture of Grandma Lonergan. And I know you said that Butch has been collecting old pictures, and do you think he'd be interested in it? And I said, oh, I think he would like it. So it was in this lovely oval frame, like about
Yes,
this.
beautiful.
In the original frame, and I went by and picked it up and went right out to Butch's and took it out. I had forgotten all about this, but anyway, he has Grandma Lonergan.
So does he have all this on a wall display at his home? See, now that would be a good thing for you to video.
That's
You get all the pictures right there.
Yeah, he's got like his, like our wedding picture and Mother and Dad's wedding picture. You know, he has it for his family.
Yep.
Then he has it for Kathy's family.
But you've all got books. You've probably all got photograph
Oh
albums.
yeah, oh yeah.
But not of our grandparents.
I understand that, but of our of the children though. And I mean that, you know, that's kind of where a lot of this is going to end up. So who of you is the oldest?
Emily.
Emmeline, she's our second
Emily.
mother.
She thinks she's the boss now.
She thinks she's in charge.
What are some of your earliest memories out on the farm?
I really don't remember anything until we moved to where, you know, the one that you remember,
Mm-hmm.
east of Woodson. Mother talks so much about the James place, just east of Woodson, where they rented the farm. But I do not remember. But I do remember going over, and I rode in the buggy with Grandpa and Grandma Tarslow to the place where we lived that all of you kids know, where our mother and dad lived, where they bought the farm. And Mary Ellen, you must have been with us because we were together all the time. Do you remember the buggy?
I don't remember the buggy ride. I remember a lot of buggy rides, but not that particular one.
And
Did the buggy have any protection from the elements? Or did it
Oh,
just
they
sit
had
there?
side curtains that they could roll down, you
Oh,
know.
with high glass curtains you can pull right down in
Yeah,
case
right.
there's a change in the weather. Remember that?
I can remember that. That's,
What year would that have been, Aunt Em?
they bought the farm in when, Mary Ellen?
1918.
1918.
The year Jim was
And I
born.
was born in 15. So I wasn't too old, but I do remember being in the buggy and going over, and I
Okay, now,
didn't even realize that's where we're going to live.
from Jim on, we were all born in that house. Jim was born at the hospital, wasn't he?
No, we never
Yeah,
went to
my
the
grandpa's
hospital.
Em and Mary Ellen were
on
both.
Southeast Street.
I was the only
I
one
was-
born in the hospital. She
I
didn't make
was
it to
born
the
at
hospital.
home, down
with
at the
the other-
Taylor place.
They had
That's right.
reservations made.
Tell the story about when you
Well,
lived down there.
Don, when we first moved to the country in 1948, Rick hadn't been born yet, but as we would be going from where we lived down at Grandpa Lonergan's place up to Mother and Dad's, Don would show the kids where there was a pump over in that field, and he'd say, "That's where they pump your mother and dad. That's where they pump your mother.
Oh, that's where your mother came from. They pumped her out of that
Pump her
well.
out of that well." And the kids were little kids, you know.
They were believing it, of course.
And they couldn't figure how I don't know what run through their minds. They never did ask any questions.
Well, that had to be a memory that Uncle Don had then, that would have prompted him to say that.
Well, she
Well,
told her
it
where
was
she
just
was born.
because I would tell him as we go by that place, there used to be a house there, and that's the house where I was born. And there were farm buildings around, a barn, and every house had a coal shed where they kept the coal and the cobs and the fuel. And so I would tell Don that's the place where I was born. So when someone bought that place and tore all the buildings down, they left the pump standing there in the field, and they just kind of plowed around it.
I kind of remember that pump.
I think you do,
Whereabouts
On
is
the
it?
Tower Road,
Yeah.
remember the Tower
Yeah.
Road? Okay, was on the west side of the road. And that's where Mother and Dad moved when they were first married. They went to this place called the Taylor Place, which was a farm that Grandpa Lonergan owned, Dad's dad, and they lived there. You remember why they moved from there?
Yes.
Dad was the oldest boy in the family, and he had two younger brothers. Uncle Paul and Uncle Rich were younger. And being the oldest, Dad married first and had a family. And Uncle Paul and Uncle Rich were supposed to be carrying their share of the load as far as doing the farm work and so on, because I think they were dividing the proceeds of the farm. And I think Uncle Rich and Uncle Paul were just kind of what Mother would call come day, go day, God send.
They were
Sunday.
running around, see. In
They
other
were-
words,
they
Dad
were-
had settled down, but they were not settled down.
And they were staying out late at night, wouldn't get up in the morning, and that kind of irritated. I don't think it bothered Dad as much as it bothered Mother.
Mother says we're getting out
We're
on our
getting
own.
out of here.
Then they moved to a big farm east of Woodson, what's called the James place. They rented it. And Grandpa Tiresville knew Mr. James, wasn't
So
that it?
how they got
That's
the
how they
farm.
got it.
How far east of Woodson is that place?
Oh, it's only
Do you remember where Jim and Kay lived on
Yes.
Woodson Road?
Yes.
It was
That
the
yellow
first-
house?
just before.
Little yellow
Just
house.
before you got
It was the first farm closer to Woodson.
That was a
which
big place. Two
It
stories?
was like 220 acres, and the man that owned it was named Levi James. And my mother always called him Levy. I guess Levy was his nickname, but his name was really Levi. And they farmed 220 acres there. I think they were able to save enough money that they could get it down. They didn't talk about down payments then. They just had enough money put aside that they were able to buy this 80 acres.
Now, where would that money have come from?
From
On
the
the farm, the 220 acres.
And that's
that
when they farmed with
farmed.
horses, no tractors or anything. Did Dad have, he had hired help over there, didn't he?
Oh, yeah,
Always
you
had a
had
hired
to.
man.
Yeah, you remember who it was?
Charlie Lonergan.
Charlie Lonergan,
Yeah,
one of
that's
them.
right. Charlie, and then of course they took Joe Culp with them when they were married. Now you remember Marie.
Mm-hmm.
Now did you ever hear Mother tell the story the day they were married and they went back to get her clothes in a spring wagon, and Joe Culp parked himself in the back of it. Joe came to live with Grandma and Grandpa. Aunt Margaret separated from her husband, and she went to work at the state hospital, didn't she, Aunt Margaret?
Mm-hmm.
And had him in, I guess they call it a boarding house. And Mother used to come in, was Mother in business college at the time, but anyway, she used to drive her horse and buggy into town, and Joe would be playing out in the street. Then she went home and said to her mother, "We've got to do something about that child, she's going to get killed." So he came to live with them. And when Mother got married, he was not gonna
He'd go
let
with
Mother
Emma.
leave, so Mother said to Dad, what are we gonna do with him? Dad said, we'll have to take him with us.
He's
So
going.
they started out with Joe, and I guess, I don't know, Joe never was very work brittle though, was he? Joe probably didn't help too
They
much
tried
on
to
the
keep
farm.
him in school, but he wouldn't stay in school.
Oh, he was
He would leave,
he was bad, bad.
Now, where was school?
well,
A country school, one-room country school, and then,
That was about a mile or two north of the farm.
the older we get, the farther away it was.
Remember where?
But it was only about a mile.
I'll walk both ways.
Barefooted.
when Joe finished country school, then he went to Route. It was called Route College,
Uh-huh.
but it was a 4-year high school and 2 years of what we would call junior college.
Uh-huh.
And Dad gave him a pony to ride. He had to ride to school.
So what time would he take off to get there at what
To
time?
get there, whatever
Oh, it's
still time school
probably
opened.
45-minute ride.
From the
Leaving
farm,
time.
from the farm to Route College?
Sure, that's not far.
No,
Kids
I'm,
ride school buses for
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, well,
45 minutes to an hour and a half.
But that was a fur piece on a pony.
especially in the winter.
Yeah.
I bet that wasn't a fun ride in the winter.
Yeah.
Well, we thought it sounded glamorous because he had a horse to ride.
Yeah, right. And we were walking to Crossroads, weren't we? But
And then
anyway,
I think we need to go into, Teedie, do you remember the year we taped Mother?
Oh, yes, Bill
And
and
we
Joy
don't-
came.
No, honey, I'm talking about a cassette on the back porch, you and Sheila
Oh,
were
sure,
there.
during retreat.
And that's all recorded someplace, how Mother and Dad started out, and she's telling the story like Mary Ellen did about moving from the Taylor place to the James place.
Who has that cassette?
I think I must have it someplace.
Yeah, well, that'd be hard to find.
Oh, no, I've gotten rid of
See,
a lot
what
of
I'm
things,
worried
though.
about
I
is
think I
all
kept
those-
it.
What I'm concerned about is all those tapes I had, and I just didn't go through them, and I gave them all to RL. And I'll bet you anything, because I think Raj made copies for all of us.
He did. Roger did.
And she tells, Mother tells a little story there about when they started farming and how they happened to move from there, and then when they moved to the
Well,
home place right now.
knowing Dad, it's probably labeled sitting somewhere, so
That's right.
We'll
Well,
find it.
if Rocky doesn't get a hold of it.
We'll find it. But according to you, that's not the only copy. There's not only one, just one
There
copy.
should be, I know Raj made copies for everybody.
He did.
Joy, could you grab me that Coke we brought over? It was in that sack.
But anyway, 1918 is when they moved over there, right?
Right.
And then Jim, you said, was born in the hospital. But I know the rest of us were born at home.
Jim was born at Grandma and Grandpa Carswell.
She didn't get that.
They wouldn't let her come to the hospital because they had a flu epidemic.
Oh my gosh.
And so he was born at Grandma and Grandpa Carswell's at 1040 Southeast Street.
And then there was, I was first one born there, then Rita Mae, then Margaret, and then Teedie. There were 4 of us born in that house.
and I was the only one made it to the hospital. My mother made it. Dad took her in and left her at Aunt Kate's and told Aunt Kate to call a cab when Mother had the pains and was supposed to go to the hospital. Mother woke up about 1 o'clock or whatever time in the morning, and she just dressed, and she was only about 2 blocks probably from our Savior's Hospital, dressed and started walking toward the hospital. And Aunt Kate was running out in her nightgown.
Told her she couldn't
Emma,
do
come
that.
back here, I'm supposed to call a cab for you. She says, oh, don't bother about it.
And this-
Mother went right up to the front of our Savior's Hospital and said, I'm going to have a baby.
Oh my God.
Isn't
Doesn't that
this
sound
when
like Mother?
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like her?
Isn't this when she told about lacing the shoes? You know, back then they wore the high lace shoes. She tells about lacing the
She
shoes.
tells about Aunt Kate chasing her with her shoestrings flopping like the kids do now. Saying, come back here, Con told me to call a taxi for you.
She wasn't waiting for the taxi.
Would that have been a motorized taxi?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't,
Was that been a buggy?
yeah.
I don't know what it would have been.
Well, when you say taxi, I automatically
Yeah,
think
you do.
something
Well, I do
motorized.
too. Well, I do too. I was
Well,
thinking
surely,
about-
but would they,
Well,
by
there were
that time?
cars then, and gosh, they started making them in 1915.
I
didn't
think
they?
a funny story here, asking if it was a taxi, when Mother and Dad stood up with Tom Farrell when he was married. And the big thing back then was to get the white horses in the carriage. So they went down to North
Like a
Main.
stretch limousine.
That was the stretch limo. When they went down to North Main to check to see how much it was going to cost, Tom said, "Oh, no, I didn't want to buy it, I just wanted to rent it." Needless to say, they didn't go to Springfield.
Oh my.
But back in those days, they had the white horses with the carriage that you could rent when you were married. But they didn't go in the white horse with the carriage.
That's too
So-
bad. We can't ask anyone. I don't know if, I think in 1915, but when did they start making cars? 1910?
I have
What's
no
the old
idea.
deal?
I know when we had one,
The old Veely.
we had one about 1919. It was called a Veely. And Dad was kind of afraid of driving it, and he said to the man who was selling it, Squirrely Sorrels, he says, "Take my wife out there and show her to drive it. She'll probably be doing most of the driving."
And she did from that day on,
I'm
too.
sure she did.
Dad was not a very brave person, and that's where I get my cardiness. He would get us all up in the middle of the night if there was a storm, take us to the cave, the storm cellar.
Mhm.
Mother'd lay there in bed, she wasn't gonna move. And Dad wasn't, I don't think Dad was too brave.
So
And
that,
that's proof right there.
so that means Grandma would have been driving for
He knew he
65
was in
years.
control. What?
Grandma would have been driving for 65, 67 years, something like that.
Well,
If
she
she started-
drove up to, she
She drive, she done did it.
drove up until the time she died, about 1993.
Yeah, so
Mm.
89,
God. I could
40 years.
I could tell a story about that. Jim, whenever Jim wanted Mother to do something or wanted to tell Mother something, he'd get to
He'd
Em
tell
or me,
us.
usually to me because I live close by, and he'd say, "Now you get this across to Mom." And so he told me that she should not be driving, and he wanted me to tell her that she shouldn't.
Oh, what's after Dad's death, wasn't it? That he wanted to do something right then.
Oh yeah.
We were all sitting there together. Said, "You girls need to talk to Mother and tell her she shouldn't be driving. Jim, you're the only son in the family. You're the one who..." "Oh, hell no. You girls talk to her." Coward.
Anyway, I got to be the one to do
Yeah,
it
she
because
did.
Jim says, "You live close by, you can take Mother when she wants to go someplace." And, well, I tell you when it was in 1978 because I was living in town then. And he said, I was retired, you know, and you can, anyway, I told Mother that maybe she shouldn't be driving, that maybe she could just drive into Woodson. We went to get her driver's license, that's what it was. And she went to, remember the French guy that was at the driver's license? And she went to him, and he discouraged her driving. And she says, all I want that car for is to drive into Woodson if I want to get a loaf of bread or something. I'm not going to drive. And I went with her and verified that that's what she was going to do. So then, the plan was that she would drive into Woodson, I would drive out and pick her up. And I did that a few times, and then she said, you know, there's not much traffic between Woodson and Jacksonville. I'll meet you at the grocery store on South Main, Earl's Market. And so then she would drive in there and I would meet her. So then one morning, it was winter, it was cold, and it was snowy. It was really a bad morning. And around noon, I was in the bank, and Nellie Rochester, who works in the bank, said to me, "Oh, it's a bad day to be out." She said, "I was really surprised to see your mother in here this morning." So, I always talk to Mother on the telephone every day. So when I got home, I called her. She didn't say a word about being in town, so I thought she doesn't want me to know, and I'm not going to mention it to her. But see how you find out things when you're not even inquiring?
She did.
Mother was very independent.
Well,
We
I
all
remember
know that.
I remember the statue of St. Christopher in a car like this.
Not really. Well, I tell you one thing we got from Mother that is a treasure that many people have, everyone has, but they don't realize it, is the faith that she instilled in us
Yes.
through her example of prayer and good works. She was always looking out for somebody that was in need or somebody that was underprivileged. When I retired in 1978, it was one of the things that I did was join the Legion of Mary so that I could drive Mother back and forth. And I used to say, Mother had arthritis in her knee and she had something wrong with her foot. I think later she had some surgery on that foot. But she would just, you could tell she was in pain, but she was still walking and visiting nursing homes. You know, now most people would say, oh, I have arthritis, I can't do that. But she kept right on doing it.
I remember visiting some of those nursing homes with her
With
and playing guitar,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas
Yeah.
songs on
Yeah,
the
That
guitar.
was me too.
She was
Yeah.
feeling.
I drug you to a few of them. Well, and I think while we're on that subject, you should mention how many of the, well, Grandpa Lonergan used to call it the orphans' home. They took in so many people.
Mother and Dad.
Can we go through those? We can start with Joe Culp. He stayed with him until he was how old, 18?
He ran away when he was 16 years
Left
old.
16 years old and never showed any love or
Gratitude.
or anything for Dad and Mother. They never heard another word from him.
And they gave him
Yeah.
more than they gave their son.
Yeah, he had a gun. And speaking of a gun, he
And a
was
horse.
mean. He was mean as heck to us kids. And I guess maybe he didn't pick on him and Realm because he knew they were old enough to. Well, he'd threaten us. He'd said, if you tell your dad and mother, I'll kill you. And I can remember him putting Rita and I out there on that back porch one Saturday morning after Dad and Mother left for town, and we were just sitting there trembling.
He
Told us
wouldn't
we
let
had
you
to
do
stay.
anything.
He told us we had to stay there till they got home. And he said, if you tell your dad and mother I did this, I'll kill you.
Was he doing that just to be mean?
Sure.
He wasn't doing anything that he wanted you to
No.
stay there.
Being mean. Okay, there was Joe Culp. Then they always had a hired man. Now we only had 3 bedrooms. The hired man got his own bedroom. And then the hired man, would he go home on weekends when Grandpa Lonergan would come?
Sometimes.
That's Grandpa.
Dad would have a hired man that lived in the house during
The harvest.
Seasonal work,
harvest
yeah.
season,
Yeah.
when they were planting or when they were harvesting.
Grandpa Lonergan used to come on Saturday afternoon, walk across the pasture, and he always brought us these XXX peppermints, you know, that had the 3 X's on them.
I don't remember.
And we'd be standing watching him come through the pasture. We'd be looking out the door, but that was a treat to get candy. And we'd see him reaching in his pocket, and Rita May'd say, he's not going to have any left when he gets here. But anyway, then he'd stay Saturday night, ride to church on Sunday morning, and he and Dad both chewed tobacco. Do you remember them spitting the tobacco out and we'd all duck?
Oh, so now,
Okay, after out were Grandpa, and then Mike and Lib moved in with us.
I remember them a little bit.
Yeah, right.
I remember just a
You
little
can't
bit.
remember
Mike and
them?
Liv moving in, just a little bit.
Gosh, how much younger are you than me?
You're 75, I'm 66.
9
11
years.
years. Oh, 9.
Right.
Shows you how good I am in math, doesn't it?
That's all right. I had a hard time with it too.
Well, Teedie was born in 1929, And we talk about kids today, how knowledgeable they are about everything that's going on around them. And tell Bill how we found out that Mother was expecting a baby.
How did we find out? I don't remember.
When somebody came to 4-H club and
Oh, they told, yeah.
It was that
We
bank
didn't even
teller.
know Teedie was gonna be
We
born.
didn't-
She was born while we were at 4-H club. And
and
I was chosen to go as a representative from our club to Champaign, and I'd never been out of Jacksonville. And I was just thrilled to death, because I was gonna get my wife paid to Champaign. And when I came home and found out there was another baby, I knew that no way I could leave.
I bet you were sorry to
I
see
was
me.
the oldest of me.
You
I
lost.
told her I wasn't too happy about it.
But him tell the rest of the
Mother
story.
said, and so I went in beside the bed, and told Mother what had happened at the meeting, and she said, "Don't you worry about Emily." She said, "We'll see that you get to go on that trip." And not only that, I got to order a dress out of Spiegel's catalog, and it was a real pretty dress. And I was just thrilled to death, because we went to a banquet and we dressed up for that. But you know what? When I got there was another lady with one on. She was an old maid from Library. She had on a dress just like mine.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Oh, that's
Her name was
fair.
Miss Petefish, Laura Petefish.
You remember her name, huh?
Oh, yeah,
How can
I
you
sure
forget it?
do.
Mother must have picked
Well,
it up for you.
what we think is unique about it is that today mothers will let the little siblings know, we're going to have a new baby.
Oh, they talk to her while
And
you're
they
carrying.
even know if it's going to be a little brother or a little sister. But here, we had finished 8th grade. We were going to high school.
We were
the next
getting ready to go
year.
to high school.
And Mother
But Mother
had
always
this
wore a
baby
big
while we
apron,
were
you couldn't
gone.
tell.
And we didn't even know she was.
No, you didn't notice people's figure back in those days.
I think we were pretty unobservant.
Yeah. Well, Mother wore those big aprons, remember? That was the reason.
I think that example though, of Mother saying, "You're going to get to go to Champaign,"
Oh, yeah.
pretty typical of Mother and Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what they
What it
had
was,
to
yeah.
sacrifice.
She always thought positive and always to go.
And they were determined we were all going to have a Catholic high school education.
Right.
And it was tough, because that was back, well, when you were going through high school, it was a depression, wasn't it?
And show your ring.
Yeah, tell us
Oh, yeah,
about
my ring. This is the ring. When we graduated from high school,
These two went through all the way
we
through.
were in the same class, because Mother kept me home until she was old enough to start. She really wasn't old enough. So, but Mary Ellen said, I thought Mary Ellen cried for me, but she said that I cried for her until the teacher said to let her go. I didn't find that out until just about a few years ago. You were telling me. I thought you were crying for me, and
Who
I
knows
said,
which is right? Everybody tells their own version of the
Yeah,
story,
that's
don't they?
but anyway, when we were so happy to get to go to high school, and incidentally, I started working when I was a sophomore in high school, and I never quit after that, I don't think. I worked at Montgomery Ward's, and I made enough spending money for both of us. Anyway, we graduating from high school, and of course the big thing was get a class ring. This it's a beautiful ring, and it's about all worn off. It cost $7.50, but we couldn't afford 2 of them, so we got one between us. And I didn't know until later. Mary Ellen had her initials put in it.
Well, how they got the money for that?
Dad sold some old iron.
Where'd he get the iron?
Well, it was just some old implements that
laying
had
around.
fallen apart, and he took it in. I guess he took it in, I don't know.
To
Paul
Jake
Wagoner,
Cohen's.
to Jake Cohen. Was buying
He was a
old,
junk
old
dealer.
metal.
That's the home your dad and mother lived in. The old Cohen home, Joy.
Which one's that? The
Where
yellow
your-
house?
Where your dad and mother lived,
The yellow house?
yeah. The Cohens owned that. And Jake Cohen was the junk dealer in Jacksonville. And they were telling about how they bought this
$7 and a
The
half.
junk dealer?
Uh-huh.
And he owned
Dad
that
took-
home?
Huh?
He
Oh,
must have been
sure.
a profitable junk dealer.
Hey, most of them are.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
just gotta know the right junk.
Yeah.
If he had made enough off of it, we'd have had 2 rings, but he only did enough for 1 ring. So Mary Ellen wore it all the time, and then later years I found out, I saw it in a jewelry box, and I said, well, Mary Ellen, you wore this all the time while we were young, I'm going to wear it now. So I put it on, and I've been wearing it ever since.
Mary Ellen, how did you get your initials?
1934.
How did I?
First, when she ordered it, she had her initials.
Oh, okay, all right. That's something. You know, it's difficult to believe that you didn't have $15.
Yeah.
I mean, $7.50 for a ring, that'd be $15 for 2 rings. It's difficult to believe that you could, but I know that it was like that in the Depression. I've heard Mother and Daddy talk about it. They didn't even have $1 in the
I
house.
started teaching school in 1936, went 2 years to Illinois College, and Edith says that she helped dress the chickens.
I sure
That
did.
paid my tuition.
Help-
But
They don't
anyway,
believe me.
90
Help dress the
Chickens.
chickens.
We'd take tubs of chickens in. That's how Mother paid her
Bill,
tuition.
Mother didn't.
Well, what kind of clothes do they wear?
Feathers. Feathers.
Yeah. Bill.
I have this vision of these fancy outfits.
Yeah, they were
You got more
fancy.
money for them when they were dressed
It's
up.
Top hat, walking
Exactly.
cane. I have memories of you cutting the heads off of chickens out on your farm and watching those things run around. I remember that like it was
Dear.
yesterday.
2 years.
So did you
I
have
sure
to
do.
do that, Mom? Did you cut the heads off? Who cut the heads off?
Not me.
No, I didn't think
No,
so.
Not Ede wouldn't do
But I
that.
pulled a lot of feathers off of those suckers.
So your mom would butcher them?
Yeah, she'd cut their heads off and
And
dip
they
them in
never
scalding
called it-
water. And when you
and they-
kids were getting in the jacuzzi last night, I was thinking about how Mother used to dip the chickens in the scalding water. You were wanting to know how hot the water had to be to boil.
212, isn't it?
But yes, Marilyn said we didn't help. Rita Mae and I'd be coming out of route, and we'd keep the Mother would be parked right in front of route every Friday evening.
So you couldn't.
Boys went out one door and the girls went out the other. And Rita said to me one Friday night, "Do you think we could sneak out on the boys' side and Mother wouldn't catch us?" She was parked right there. We went home on Saturday morning, the broom on the ceiling, time to get up. We would dress tubs of chickens.
To pay Mary Ellen's
Edith,
tuition.
I want to tell you this, though. I
Uh-oh.
started teaching in 1936.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when did you graduate?
1938.
Okay, but I was finished at Illinois College in 1936.
Well, we were still taking chickens to
But
somebody.
you
and
were taking
maybe we were
somebody.
still paying tuition.
Back tuition, Mary Ellen.
No,
Maybe
it
it was
wasn't
no
back
pay.
tuition. Tuition was $95 a semester,
Imagine that.
and if you had no money, you could, chickens were probably, I think Mother got about $1 a piece for a chicken that was dressed, so it took quite a few chickens to.
So over almost 500 chickens for 1 year of school.
No,
400.
no.
Four
200.
times 90.
200. No,
Four
no,
times-
just 2 semesters.
Oh,
See, $95 a semester.
it's 4 semesters now in college, though, isn't
Well,
it, per year?
It depends on if it's on a semester plan or a
Oh.
quarterly plan.
Sorry.
Well, she was still dressing chickens when we were at Rock. Of course,
Sure
when we
you
were in
were,
grade
but
school,
I
when we
ju-
were in grade school, we sure were
I just
helping.
wanted to tell you it wasn't to pay for my tuition.
Well, we were delivering chickens to somebody
It
in
was
Jackson.
Sure
it
you
was
were.
just get some
As
money.
long as you can
period.
remember, they were taking
Get some money.
Yeah.
dressed produce, butter and
Yep.
eggs and so on.
Yeah.
Well, another dimension to that too was, when Mother and Daddy lost the farm in Depression. Now, these are the stories that Mom
What year would
and Dad
that have
told me.
been?
The Depression hit.
29 was the
29.
crash.
Were you born before or after the crash?
The year of it. I was.
I
Yeah,
know.
it was the
Crash.
But
crash.
was it before or after? I mean, there.
Yeah, the really hard times set in.
Yeah.
We have Mother has pictures of the babies. Teedie's picture, they were all taken at a photographer's except Margaret. We've not talked about Margaret at all. Margaret's and Teedie's were just little snapshots.
That Aunt Margaret took.
Out on the bench.
That Aunt Margaret took because
We didn't have a camera.
For the rest of us, they took us to a photographer.
They take us to the
Had a
photographer.
really nice picture, but,
No money for that.
Who's got those pictures now?
They're in the,
Emily
I
has
have
them. They're at Emily's house.
Your mother got, what was it?
Here's Rita and I.
Yeah, I'll get that one.
See, that was at a photographer.
Yeah, I'm gonna get all of these before we're done today.
But Bill, the year that Mother and Dad lost the farm was probably, see, they bought it in 1918, and the crash came in 1929. But the effects of it were probably 2 or 3 years later. I know it was during the time we were in high school that we realized that there just wasn't any money. But nobody else had any money either. We didn't feel terribly deprived because everybody was in that same boat, so to speak. But Mother and Dad lost their farm. Our sister died. Margaret was only 8 years old.
What did she die of?
The doctor,
Pernicious anemia.
and we
Another
think
word.
probably it was leukemia. She was 8 years old, and Em and I were seniors in high school the year that she died. And when I think of cold weather, I think of the day she was buried. It was in November 1933. And she was just, we look at pictures of her, I think she would look like Emma if she had lived. The baby
She
pictures.
had lived.
You remember when she died?
Oh, I
Do
do.
you remember?
I do. We were in Ralph, and there were 34 in our class, and they, see, at that time, no blood bank. They had to just do direct, if you found blood to match. And every one of the students went over, and there was only one student that matched her type blood, Mary O'Meara, and she gave blood that day, didn't she?
She
They put
started,
one on one on the other.
we were sitting at the supper table on a Sunday night, and she just started hemorrhaging from the mouth and the nose, and blood just started gushing out. And they took her to the hospital. She died late the next night, didn't she? They gave her the transfusion in the afternoon and
That fast?
died Monday night.
Did she have any symptoms prior to that?
Oh, yeah, she'd been
Oh, yeah,
sick.
she was always real pale.
And
never
I
any
think
color.
Dr. Webster had told Mother, was it that Sunday
That's
morning?
Sunday morning.
His office was right down from the church there in Murrayville, and Mother went in because she didn't think Margaret was getting much better. And Dr. Webster finally told her, he said, there's just not much we can do for her.
The white corpuscles are eating up the red corpuscles.
Something like that.
But anyway, it was, I remember, we went to bed that night. Uncle Jess and Aunt Mary, I think, were staying with us. I don't know whether you girls were you staying in town at the time? Probably.
Oh, I don't know.
You weren't driving back and forth.
No, heavens no, you couldn't afford to drive back and forth.
But anyway, I can remember hearing Uncle Jess say Margaret had died. We hadn't been told yet. But and then she was they brought her back to the house. Mr. Thompson was undertaker, and they brought her back there for the wake. I remember that very well.
During that depression, as I say, my job was a godsend. It wasn't very much, working at wards. And I bought the folks their first radio. The very first radio.
A battery set. We
It
didn't
was
have
a
any
battery, no
electricity then.
electricity. But,
And you remember the program we always listened to?
No.
See, we were in high school in Jacksonville, staying with this one and that one and somebody else. One year we stayed with Uncle Dan and Aunt Nellie. One year we stayed with Uncle Rich and Aunt Marie. And we were used to radio, so as soon as Em started working, she was going to get one of those
we're gonna
radios.
have us radio
So we
too.
could hear the hit parade. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, another important radio program would have been FDR's Fireside Chats, after FDR was elected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of FDR, of course, that's why we're all pretty dyed-in-the-wool Democrats, because we went through the Depression under Hoover. And we did not have good roads, we did not have electricity. In the wintertime, they had to leave the car parked over on the hard road, we called it, in Woodson, and Dad would take us by horse and wagon to Woodson. That's the way we'd get to church on Sunday morning and anytime we had to go anyplace. Well, then when Roosevelt came in, why, he had REA and did something for the farmers and the poor people. So we have kind of a warm spot for Democrats. There was something else I wanted to inject here we were talking about. Oh, so right after we got electricity, everybody's out trying to sell farmers the electrical appliances. This fella came to the door one day and he was selling Hoover vacuum. Get out of here. I never want to hear that name again as long as I live.
You got any FDR vacuums?
Then Ronnie Hoover's, and then
Anything named Hoover. can
another
be
story
good
I love
in
to tell
his
about
life.
Mother. And as a little kid, you're always, anybody comes to the door, you want to see who's there. And back in those days, they used to have these trucks that went through the country and sold all your spices and extracts. They had a thing that came down and you went out and picked out anything you wanted. Well, the Ku Klux Klan got to be pretty prevalent in that part of the country for a while. And there had been a cross burned up at the school where we used to go to school, or either it was the Crossroads intersection, I'm not sure where, but I think it was burned in front of the school. And of course we had the party lines, so the word got around real quick that this Watkins dealer was one of them under the sheet up there burning the cross. He came to the door with his monthly,
McNess.
was it McNess? Mother said, "Did you see that gate you came in? You get right back out." She said, "Any man that will burn a cross and be under a sheet is not welcome here." Boy, he tucked his tail and ran.
He never came back.
Good for her.
Mother was not afraid of the devil.
No,
And
she wasn't.
I'm sure you've heard the story about how chicken thieves used to come about the time the fryers were ready, the chickens were ready for frying. And we always had the potato patch, and then over on the other side of that was the brooder house where all these chickens were. And then the spring of the year, when the chickens were about ready for frying, I don't know, they said it was gypsies. I think a lot of them were.
The brooder house, is that where Mike and Denise built the cabin?
No, no, it was on the other side, up north of the
They
house.
did not own that property over there for my convenience.
But the north room that had the little windows in it,
Mm-hmm.
Rita and I used to be in that room, and we used to see Mother cutting across that potato patch in her long white gown. She'd hear the chicken thieves out there, and she'd go out whistling and singing, and just she'd scare them away. But they didn't carry guns back in those
What
days.
time of day would that have been? 2 or 3
Oh,
o'clock in the morning?
Nighttime, yeah.
At night.
After it got dark. He talked about the potato patch. You went through the potato patch and the brooder house was on the other side. They always had the brooder house. The brooder house was on like skids. They could hitch onto it with a horse and take it any place they wanted to. Put it on fresh ground, Mother would say.
Clean spot.
They didn't want to raise chickens twice in one place because all the manure droppings were there, and this was good fertilizer. So one time, Dean was our cousin. She lived in Chicago, and her little boy, Bill, came to visit at our house. Jim, our brother, and Dad were fertilizing the potato patch with manure out the chicken house. They had cleaned the chicken house. And anyway, you want to know what they were doing, and Grandpa said to him, Dad said to him, well, that makes the potatoes grow good. No more potatoes for Bill. That was the end of the potatoes.
And then we used to have the free movies, the free, what do we call it? And you went down and you just, free show.
The merchants.
The merchants in Woodson, like about, what, 3 of them?
Three
Put out
grocery
a free
stores.
show, and all it was a big screen hanging up there. We sat on the ground, our benches.
There was the side of a building.
Yeah.
So what were some of the movies you saw there?
Tom Mix.
Our gang, Spanky. The one Peter
I
reminds us
don't
of.
remember anything about the movies. I just remember it was someplace to go. You got to go
Yeah,
someplace
right.
after dark.
Get in the car and go someplace.
Anyway, this cousin from Chicago was going with us one night, and on the way in, he said, "I'll meet you in the lobby."
He didn't know there was going to be a lobby there.
And
It was all under the stars.
They can talk
clue as to what the show was.
They can talk about taking the kid out of the country. The city kids are a lot dumber when they come to the country than country kids are when they go to the city.
They just know about different things.
They think they're smarter. Oh, God.
So you probably all had different chores that you shared on the farm, didn't you?
I know
Everybody
I
but
had to
Teedie.
stay in the house and cook. I do know
Mary Ellen
that.
went out and milked.
Mary Ellen had to service the boy because Jim
I
wasn't
had
big
to
enough
milk,
yet.
and I drove horses and cultivated corn, and I don't know how Dad ever trusted me to do anything like that, but he could check. It was a rotary hoe. I didn't do any cultivating. It was rotary hoe that, just get horses going real fast, pull all those weeds out.
So you'd start at what time of day and finish
Oh,
up?
we all got up early.
Sunrise to
The crack of
sunset?
dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Where do you think going to bed with the chickens came from?
No, but you couldn't, see, they had horses and you couldn't work them like they can work the tractors now. They didn't put in as long hours because the horses couldn't take it.
So
That was one thing.
8 hours, 4 hours?
Yeah, and you'd have to come in at noon and water and feed those horses, and they had to have at least an hour.
An hour break?
Yes, they had an hour break.
So you'd be up at sunrise, 5 or 6 o'clock.
Yes,
Those horses,
that's right.
you'd start working the horses at 6 o'clock till noon.
Probably 7 o'clock by the time they get the horses to the. It depended on the season, if it was late season, if it had been rainy and they were in a big rush, they might get out as early as 5 o'clock in the field. They had to do it when the.
And remember, Dad would get us out early. We used to shuck corn before we went to grade school. We'd get out and help him shuck corn.
Where was the corn stored out there? I don't remember a bin for corn.
Corn cribs.
They had corn cribs. Probably when
In
you
that
came
old
along,
long
the corn
shed.
cribs were gone.
You know where we lived down on the farm, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Remember there was an alleyway you could pull a tractor or a wagon or
Mhm.
something in? On either side were corn, what they call corn cribs, CRIBS, corn cribs. They were, had spaces like this so that the corn would dry. After they'd harvest the corn, they just put it on, it was on an ear. They would just shuck that corn, throw it in a wagon, take it down, dump it in the corn crib. Not dump it, they had to shovel it into the corn crib. And then they used that to feed hogs, to feed the cows.
They always,
And if they had any leftovers, some of it went to the elevator then to be sold for cash.
one year, they burned the corn because corn was
Nickel
cheaper
bushel.
than coal. Coal cost about twice as much as you got for your corn.
That was the good Republican time.
And so, they just burned the corn.
What year would that have
The
been?
heat, well, would have been in
That was probably in the 30s.
Mhm.
the 30s. You see, you didn't have cash. We had plenty to eat then. That was one thing, People in town didn't have any way to get food, but we did have plenty of food, but no cash. And if you could get a job, you get no cash.
Mother bought our shoes and paid our dental bills by taking in chicken, butter, cream. And anytime she went to the grocery store, I know one time she came by and said she had to go do her trading, and RL was sitting there, and when Mother left, he said, "What does she mean by trading?" And I said, "Well, that's a carryover term from the Depression days, because you took your produce and anything you had to trade for your groceries." It's like I said, there was no money, no cash.
Bartering.
Yeah.
Bartering and trading.
That's right.
Yep.
And I'm really starting to see that kind of come back.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right on that score.
And I can also remember an incident where I was helping Mother deliver butter and eggs, and this woman was quibbling about the price of the butter. It was 50 cents a pound. And Mother couldn't even supply all the people that wanted butter. But this woman was quibbling about 50 cents a pound. She's trying to jew her down. And Mother said, "Emily, pick that butter up and take it out the car. I have people begging for that butter." That woman didn't get any more butter.
You talk about bartering. Mother still, you know, she was pretty wise. Anyway, she came out one day and she said, "I saw a coat out at the Emporium, Ede and Bill." She said, "Would you go down and pass your opinion on it?" Like making a difference if she wanted. She found it. But anyway, they'd reduced it to half price. And so Mother tried it on again, and it was the one with the mink collar. I think it was the last winter coat she ever bought. Anyway, she tried it on, and I said, "Oh, that looks wonderful on you, Mother." And so she turned around to the sales clerk and she said, "I'll give you so-and-so for it." She was going to give her $20 less than what they'd marked it down to the paper. "Oh, no, Mr. Goldstein wouldn't come down here." "That's okay. Keep the coat, it's yours." We got to the elevator and the clerk came running after. "Mr. Goldstein said you could have the coat for that." And
He was
then
dealing with another Jew.
when Connie was baby and we were living in St. Louis, Mother came down one time and I didn't have a high chair for Connie yet. And so there was a little used furniture store around the corner. Do you remember the little Jew that ran that? And so, of course, Mother and I were down there waiting for the store to open. No doubt. And I'd seen the high chair in the window. And so when he opened the store and we went in, and I think he wanted $5 for it, Mother said, "I'll give you $3. "Oh, no." Mother said, "Okay," and we started to walk out. And he said, "Well, I'll take $3. He said, "I don't like to miss my first sale on Monday morning." He got it for $3.
Connie's high chair for $3.
Yep.
Thanks to Mother.
Yeah, she did like to.
So who got to make the butter?
We all did.
We all had to share
There was
the butter.
there was a turn that you turn the handle like this.
And then we had a separator. When they brought the milk in at night, you had to put it through the separator. Do you know what they are?
It separates the milk from the cream,
Right.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, nobody liked to do that, but everybody had to do it. And we had a hired man, John Burkett, remember?
Oh.
And he had to be down in the basement one night when the milk was coming in, and Mother said to John, "Hey, get over here. I don't think you've ever done this." She said, "I'll show you how to do it." He said, "I know how to do too much around here already. I ain't learning that."
He didn't take to that, did he?
That was that was my job to wash the separator.
Oh, that was terrible.
Oh, yucky.
Terrible job.
And my recurring bad dream was they were carrying the milk in from the barn and I hadn't washed the separator yet. Terrible nightmare.
Terrible.
That was a yucky job.
So where did you meet Uncle Don?
On a blind date
Really? Where?
in St. Louis.
What took you to St. Louis?
Edith. I was in 1941, Pearl Harbor. I was teaching school.
In St. Louis?
Incidentally, after I went to Illinois College 2 years, I started teaching for $55 a month. teachers with experience were making $70 a month, but because I was first-year teacher with no experience, I got $55.
But tell Bill where you taught too, he probably didn't know this.
The little country school that was north of where Mother and Dad lived.
Where she went to school.
That's where I went to school for 8 years. That's where I taught school for 6
And
years.
Teedie was going there, tell that.
Yeah,
She taught me and I had to call her Miss Lonergan.
Oh my gosh.
And she was a good teacher too. Was I even in school?
Tell us about what you remember about Crossroads School.
I don't remember much about Crossroads School except that I remember having to call Mary Ellen Miss Lonergan, and Mother used to come sometimes. She used to come and meet me on the way home from school. She'd meet me halfway, and she'd always have fresh bread baked and butter and jelly. And you know, I think that's why I like to put my food in the nuclear reactor.
Why do you call it nuclear?
Why?
You mean she
Microwave.
beat you on the
Can
way
you
coming
believe
from
this?
school?
Yeah.
She would beat
Oh, we
me.
had to wait till we got home to get it. I didn't know Mother did that.
She
Oh,
did
she
sometimes.
was spoiling
She
her,
did,
wasn't she?
yes, she did. I think the warm food always reminds me of those wonderful days at home with Mother and Dad. The nice warm bread, and she baked pies and cakes. And I like to put my food in the nuclear reactor.
Did you finish at Route?
Well, I finished at Crossroads. Mary Ellen taught me till 6th grade, I guess.
He
And
asked
then-
you if you finished it out.
Oh, I finished Crossroads grade school, and then I went to Route for 2 years, and then I was probably having too much fun at Route because Mother decided I needed a finishing
You
school.
have too many wild parties out
boarding
the house.
school.
Mother
What do you
and Dad
think? What do you
control the
think?
handle.
What do you think the last straw was for that?
What, the wild parties? Before she, well,
What was the final straw that made him say you are?
she
going
had a party one Saturday night that was just horrible, and Mother was sick. And
Well-
Mother and Dad already slept downstairs.
They were at the house when you had
Yeah,
this
she
party.
had.
Well, horrible meant we had the phonograph on, you know, double forte.
Dancing and singing.
Dancing and singing, and the music was so loud.
How many?
it's-
How many friends
Oh, probably 10 couples, 20.
that would
Probably 20.
that would take horse and buggy up to the house
no,
or
no,
car?
This is when I'm en route.
Okay, so
The guys are driving.
45, 46.
Uh-huh. Right. And the guys can drive. There'd probably be 20 people.
You didn't have to have a driver's license
No.
then.
No way.
But anyway, Dad and I had been out. Mother was taking care of Connie, and we had been someplace. We came home, I guess, 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I went upstairs, and Mother was sick as a dog. She was really sick. And she said, "This is it. That kid's going away to boarding school next year."
That was the proverbial straw.
Now, where was boarding school?
Springfield.
Sacred Heart.
Sacred
Sacred
Heart.
Heart Convent. Sacred Heart Academy, but it was connected with the convent.
So, how did you end up teaching there? Now, you went to school there. You finished high school there. Did you just stay there, or
No,
did you go on to a college?
in the convent in those
She went and
days.
tell how you went in the convent right out of high school.
Yes, I went in the convent right out of high school, and in those days, sisters didn't go to college right away. They just started
They get to
teaching.
college in the
The
summer.
convent being where?
Springfield.
So,
Sacred Heart.
was it Sacred Heart Convent then?
Mhm. It was connected with Sacred
So-
Heart Academy.
You finished at Sacred Heart, and you continued at Sacred Heart.
I entered the convent there,
Mhm.
right. And instead of, educating you, in those days, you went right out to teach. For instance, I was professed on the 4th of January, and on the 5th of January, I was in Chicago teaching a classroom of 60 6th graders.
Single classes, or were you
Oh,
covering?
it was single, it was a single class.
But I mean, was it just one subject, or did you cover?
Oh, no,
all?
I had all the subjects, but it was just 6th grade.
So geography, algebra, history.
Everything, religion, and the number was staggering.
Yeah, 60 for one teacher is pretty
60
huge.
students. I was 19 years old.
Wow, that must have been
Yes,
kind of a mind tour.
it was. It was.
Where do you think your fondness for music came from? Where do you
Oh,
think
from
you-
mother. From mother.
Where'd
Mother
the,
sang, played the piano.
where'd the phonograph come from? That you played the records on for your parties?
I don't know, we just had one. Mother always liked music,
Was
so
it
I'm sure she
lined
bought
up?
one.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure she
Probably a
bought one.
portable by the time you
Yeah.
were in high school, that's what
So what were
carrying these.
So which one
Yeah,
in there,
yeah.
you might have had one.
so what were some of the records you were listening to and dancing to?
Oh, Glenn Miller,
Mm,
the favorite would have been Glenn Miller, Eddie Howard, Woody Herman.
Spots.
Yeah, the ink spots weren't quite as popular with teenagers as, you know, we used to dance a lot to things like In the Mood. That was one of the top favorites. Everything then was jitterbug.
Yeah.
There was very little slow dancing. The only slow numbers I remember were To Each His Own, Eddie Howard. That was a big favorite then. That was a slow. But most of our dancing was jitterbug. And see, that's what would be driving Mother in bed. Because all that loud music.
Why
you
wouldn't
know.
they come out and dance with you?
Well, Mother would have in later years, but I guess, well, Mother was having some health problems at that time, I guess. You know.
And another reason too, they were getting tired, they were getting up the age that it wasn't easy to get in the car and go in and pick her up. See,
They never knew
she
where they were
wasn't staying
gonna
in
find her.
town. And her clothes were first one place and then another. And it was just too much for Mother to do. That was the main reason.
Mother
It
was-
wasn't because of the parties, it was just the going back and forth, taking her in.
Well, she was a teenager when Mother was in her 50s, and
It's difficult.
that was a little to cope with, having had 6 other children.
Yeah.
And Teedie was a lot younger than the rest, you know.
Well, I was very, very involved in everything at Route. You know, I had just endless energy. You know, just endless energy.
Well, kids do at that age.
Who was principal then at Route? When you
John O'Coonan,
John O'Coonan when we went too.
he was still there. We had so much fun though. I mean, all I remember about high school was fun.
Me too.
Just fun. I don't ever remember studying. It was
that
so
was
much,
that was my problem too.
it was just so much fun.
Where did you meet Uncle Bert? Yeah. And then,
Oh, I met Uncle Bert. We'd been bowling. I bowled at the Farm Bureau team. I worked at the Farm Bureau, and these 2 gals that I was with had been going out to Davison's. I had never gone out there unescorted, and I said, "Oh, I don't want to go out there. I never have gone out there without a date." And they said, "Oh, there's a little side room we can go in and sit there. We won't be around anyone else." So we went in and we sat in the little side room. And this young man comes up and asked me to dance. And it was Bert McNeely. I didn't know him from Adam, but he only lived at Linville, just a little town.
Him, how did he see you in the side room?
I don't know. Oh, you could see. I mean, it wasn't that secluded. Anyway, I didn't know whether I'd dance with him or not, and Gladys says, "Go ahead, I went to school with him, he's okay." Gladys.
Good.
what was Gladys's last
But
name?
he was out there with the bunch from, he was going to Illinois College, and he was out there with the bunch from Illinois College. And he asked me for a date that night. The Democrat dance was coming up, it was going to be at the country club, that was our first date.
As long as it was a Democrat.
And so,
yeah.
well, I don't know. So when I get home, I tell Dad and Mother, I guess Dad heard, you know, that it was McNeely. And he said, "Well, if he's any relation to the McNeelys, I know from Franklin, and you don't need to have another date with him. You can go on this date, but that's all."
That's Dad's saying.
The McNeelys from Franklin used to steal sheep, he said, when I was growing up.
They weren't horse
So right away I had
fanciers.
to find out where McNeely was from. Well, I knew he lived at Linville. He said, "Oh, my dad was born and reared in Missouri." Oh, he said, "My family's over in Missouri." So I knew they weren't connected with Nortonville.
Well, you're safe.
And oh, did we get mixed up with those McNeelys too. They didn't pay their bill after we were married. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe. the telephone calls we would get, you know, when are we gonna pay so-and-so? And there was one little Jew that just wouldn't leave Bert alone. He thought he really had him this time. He called and he went, and I didn't recognize, I didn't know who it was. He wanted to know where Bert was, and I thought it was somebody that really needed to see Bert. And Bert was at the dentist at the time. And that little Jew boy came up there and put that book out and said, did you buy the, I don't know, whatever it was we didn't even have. You bought this. And Bert said, no, that's not my signature, and that, I did not buy that, I don't even own one. That guy went up to the dentist office, so he really had it. But anyway, so I knew what Dad was talking about, but I found out those McNeelys were fine. That was just a generation or two back, you know. Maybe one person did it, and then they got the name. That's the way it happens.
How long did you court before you married?
Oh, probably around 3 years, because see, this was just the time of, they were taking people in service. And I was not going to get married, I was not going to give up my good job at the Farm Bureau. But when we got married, Bert was 28, and they were not drafting anyone over 28 years old. And that's when we were married. Then, we were married in 41, of course, the war was just right after we were married, you know. But we were farming. Bert had always farmed, and of course he was helping his dad. And they got him in the wrong county. He was going to Illinois College, and his address was Route 3 Winchester, so they had him in Scott County, and he didn't belong there at all. He belonged in Morgan County. Because I remember the gals at the Farm Bureau said, well, it looks like Bert didn't register for the draft. And I said, oh, I imagine he did. They had him in Scott County instead of Morgan County. And Herschel Heaton and Bert both, they were both at Illinois College. And Herschel was the very first one drafted from Scott County. See, they didn't have many there. And the only thing that saved Bert was because he was farming, you know, with his dad. His dad was older, and they were not taking the farmers at the time. You know, a lot of people got into farming just to keep them going. But Bert was already in it, and he didn't do that. Because Bert wanted to be a coach. If he had gone on to school, he said, you know, he wanted to be a coach, but he said, if you don't have a winning team, you're looking for a job every year. So he said, I know I don't want to get into that. He would have been a good coach. But anyway. So then every 3 months, they call him up to see if he was still farming and still involved, you know, with his dad. And his dad wasn't well at the time, so that's the reason that he didn't go.
What was his dad's name?
H.V. Henry Ventnor. I never heard of that Ventnor
Henry
before.
Ventnor.
Ventnor. Did you ever hear that name?
No, I didn't.
It's in their family. Henry Ventnor.
How did you end up on the farm? Let's see, that would have been north and east of Woodson. That farmhouse that you raised Chuck and Jim in? How did you end up on that farm?
Oh, we rented that farm. It was for rent, and Dad was going to help us get the farm, and because he knew the people at Elliott Banks. It was a route farm, and Elliott looked after it. Well, when he was going to take Bert in to introduce him to Mr. Rance, because Bert had a bank in Winchester where he had his money if he had any money. Anyway, when he went in, Mr. Rance said, my dad was introducing him to Mr. Rance, and Mr. Rance, this your son-in-law? I said, I know this young man. Of course, he watched Bert play ball over at Illinois College. Bert was on the baseball team.
What position?
And Rance's lived right across the street from them.
What position did Uncle Bert play?
Oh, he played second base, center field. Center field, he had a little goal. Baseball from Illinois College and center field.
Do I remember him being on the Cardinals farm team? Is that what I heard?
No, he went away with the team. Oh, he had many chances to be with the team, but he was real devoted to his dad. His dad couldn't afford a hired man, so he stayed at home and helped his dad. But anyway,
So
that's just the way it was.
How long after you were married was Chuck born?
We were married 8 years before he was born.
Freshmen.
Oh, my
8
goodness.
Was he born at Our
We didn't
Savior's?
think we were going to have any children.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Was he born at Norris Hospital? Our Savior's?
Chuck was born with Our Savior's, yes. And then 4 years later, here comes Jimmy. A lot of people didn't even know we had Jimmy. And I wasn't telling anyone I was pregnant. I just couldn't believe it.
Thanks.
And I was trying to keep it a secret until I found out for sure. Were you on anyway, I ran into your mother one day. I had to avoid her. We were going to the same doctor, and she was pregnant with Therese when I was pregnant with Chuck. I saw her coming in, and I whizzed out of there real fast. But anyway, I told her shortly after that, and then I knew that I was pregnant.
Yes, you did. Are we gonna have a champagne toast here?
Oh, yeah. I went out to get some breakfast.
I was out having some breakfast.
Well, here's to family history.
Yeah. Family history.
We hope when we're gone you will enjoy listening to some of this stuff.
Where's Joy? Get in here, Joy. Have a toast with
Where
us.
are you?
Joy, come in and toast with us.
All right, I brought in your.
Here's to you, Joy.
Cheers.
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 It's wonderful to have you in the family.
Thank
you.
Really
We're
is,
gonna have this
Joy.
recorded
Great
if it wasn't
lady.
for those two.
Yes.
Cheers. We can turn off the tape for a while if
Thank
you want
you.
to take a little break.
Why don't we turn it off for a little bit?
Give everybody a chance to rest a little bit.
Well, you don't have to bring him in. So.
Bill, don't you think you ought to bring in something about your dad?
Well,
too?
let's talk a little bit about Rita.
Well, definitely Rita too.
When was Rita born?
Rita's 2 years younger than Ede.
19, I guess. I'm 20. I was born in 21. I mean, she's 23.
So Rita was born the same year Dad was.
No, she was born after me.
No, but Dad was born in 1919.
Yeah, I was born in 21. Rita was born in 23.
Oh,
She's 2 years younger.
younger.
And Rita moved to Minnesota when she was married in 1946.
46.
And Mother thought that was so far away. You know, we'll never see Rita.
It's so cold.
My mother was afraid that she wouldn't be able to endure that cold in Minnesota. But Rita was very faithful about coming home, and although her husband died quite young, he was always very supportive of her coming to Jacksonville to visit family. And after Don's death, she would always plan her vacation so that she could be somewhere around Illinois during the summertime. And Rita's the one that got us all playing bridge, I guess. Maybe you played bridge before, but when she would come, she knew how to play bridge, and Eve knew how to play bridge. I guess that was it. And she thought it would be nice if four of us could play bridge. So we had the bridge trophy. Go get that bridge trophy.
Oh, that's right.
We had a traveling bridge trophy, and whoever won could keep it for the year and bring it back the next year. And Em was looking for something just before we came here, and she brought it out. She says, "Look what I found." And it was this traveling bridge trophy that went around for a long, long time.
The first year after Dad was gone, he had bought a new car, and they were going to make a trip to St. Cloud when he got well enough. In the meantime, he died, and so we girls all went with Mother to St. Cloud to visit Rita, and that was the beginning of our retreats. We had such a wonderful time, and we decided every year we would set aside a few days where we would spend it with Mother, and we would all be together. And that And we did that for, well, all my mother lived, but we were trying to do different things. Like one year we went up to Pete and Lick's cottage. Well, mother just couldn't handle it. She, you know, we can be lazy and we know how to work. She said one morning she came in, we were all sitting there having Bloody Marys and playing bridge in our robes, and she said, I can't believe I raised such a lazy bunch of daughters. Said, Mother, we know how to relax. She'd been out probably weeding for 2 hours in the flower garden. But anyway, then as the years went on and Teedie came home to take care of Mother, we still would go out there and stay. And Mother, of course, was on kind of a funny schedule. This one night she got up, what was it, midnight or 1 o'clock?
Oh, 1 o'clock, she's making oatmeal.
Had her dust cap on, and she was out there making oatmeal. And it was only like 1 o'clock in the morning. Are you still up playing bridge?
She was getting up to get her breakfast.
But yeah, Rita did come home a lot, and then she came home an awful lot by herself. As the
She
years-
always came at Christmas, and
Always,
she
we had
said it was
Christmas.
kind of a joke with her school principal that she would say, my mother, she would be late, ask for an extension on her Christmas vacation of a day or so for travel to Illinois because they didn't know what the weather would be like. And she would say, you know, I may not have my mother next year. She laughed and said, I guess my principal thinks my mother's going to live forever because I'm still going home for Christmas. My mother. It may be my mother's last Christmas.
Yeah.
How did she and her husband meet?
In the service, I think that's kind of interesting. Your mom and I and Rita all met our husbands because of World War II.
Yeah.
We would have never met those people otherwise.
Where was Rita stationed?
St. Louis at the time she met him, wasn't she?
Yes.
They were both stationed in St. Louis at that time when she was dating him.
Meryl and I were living together with Butch and Connie, and Rita and Danny were courting, and they'd come out and babysit with Butch and Connie so we could have an evening out.
That worked out good.
And
They
it was
were
a pla-
alone and you
yeah,
were
it was a
alone.
place for them to come.
And I'm sure your babies were good and didn't bother them.
Oh,
Of course.
We got a lot of nice pictures of Rita
Yeah,
with Butch and Connie when they were just babies.
Raj used to write to Rita and have her pick up different things for Connie.
Yeah.
She was Connie's godmother by proxy. Yeah.
And Rita's daughter Julie was married in 1984. And on the way to the wedding, Em, you didn't get to go to the wedding because
Bert had surgery.
Bert just had cancer surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So Em was planning to go, but she didn't go because Bert was just out of the hospital, I suppose. And on the way up, Ede and I were saying how wonderful it is now with Julie being married. Rita will have freedom like she's never known because she was mother and father to that family, and this is the youngest child being married. Anytime she was ever home, she either was worried about the children or had to be back a certain time because of Julie or Steve.
She was especially worried about Julie. She was the baby.
Julie wasn't quite a year old when Rita's husband, Danny, died. And the day we got word of Danny's death was the day we were celebrating Mother and Dad's 50th wedding anniversary. Rita was to come home, and he was at the University Hospital in Minneapolis, and the doctor had told her to go ahead and go. He didn't think he was, didn't think death was that close. But anyway, Rita called and said she just couldn't leave. He died, like Saturday night, early Sunday
He died
morning?
on Saturday night, and she did not call because
She
knowing that the celebration was on Sunday. That night, I can remember yet, I took the telephone call. There was a wall phone in the kitchen. You didn't have an extension to go in the bedroom and close the door. Everybody was merrymaking and celebrating. And it was Rita calling to say that Danny had died last night.
And Daddy didn't tell Mother because he wanted her to get a good night's sleep.
We were all gonna be out there the next morning to tell her, and Mother got up, and you know, Monday morning was wash morning for Mother.
Had to quiet her down there.
And so Dad and she were sitting at the table, and she said, well, I'm gonna start the laundry, and Dad said, no, I don't think you better.
You got something to tell you.
And we weren't there yet, so he went ahead and told her. And she was very grateful that they hadn't told her the night before because she wouldn't have slept, and she got a good night's sleep, and we all took off for St. Cloud. But anyway, she was alone all day Sunday and couldn't share this with her family because she didn't want to ruin the day for Dad and Mother. So she raised those 6 children. Well, you know the story on Rita and how she raised that family and the sacrifices and the hard work. And she told us, see, she had been coming home when Mother was so ill. And we were sitting at the kitchen table one Saturday evening. We'd already given Mother dinner, and she and I were getting ready to have our cocktail before we ate. She got up to walk into the bathroom, and I knew she hadn't had a thing to drink. And I noticed her staggering a little, and when she came back and sat down at the table, I said, Rita, what is your problem? Therese, our daughter, had already noticed it. She had said something to me about the way Rita was walking. Anyway, she said, I know there's something wrong, Ede. As soon as I get back, I'm going to go to the doctor. And that's when she was diagnosed, but didn't want Mother to know it. Now, the rest of us knew it.
Mother never did know.
Mother didn't know it. No.
Mother knew she
Mother kept
walked-
saying,
she
Rita, stand up straight.
suspected something, yeah.
But anyway, the night of Julie's rehearsal dinner is when she told us we were staying at the Holiday Inn, and she said, don't go to bed until I talk to you. I want to come by, I've got something to tell you. And that's when she sat there and told us. She didn't want to ruin Julie's wedding by letting her know. I don't know whether any members of the family knew before the wedding or not. I'm not sure that they did.
That was 84.
That was 84, November of 84. And it was, I think it was probably the first, well, the only one of Rita's children anyway, that Mother didn't attend the wedding. And so Kevin and Julie came to Mother's that year at Thanksgiving and brought their video of their wedding to share with Mother. I thought that was
So it was the only one
so
she missed
neat
one.
because they were just newlyweds and they probably had other places they'd like to go, but they came to Mother's. I thought that was
Yeah, that was nice.
Well, you've heard so many times in the conversation saying, you know, Rita didn't want to tell about Danny's death because she didn't want to spoil the celebration. And I think that's pretty typical of our family. I think we learned that from Mother and Daddy. This love for one another and consideration for one another, we really have that in our family. And I think we learned that from Mother and Dad because they were so loving to us and so considerate of us. I think that's one of the greatest blessings in our family, our love for each other and our devotion to each other. I'm sure you've observed that, Bill.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the bridge, it says the world's greatest bridge player award.
Rita got that.
Rita
yeah.
got this, brought this to us. This is, be it known that a Lonergan girl is hereby honored as the world's greatest bridge player. Making impossible finesses, doubling with daring, never going down more than 2 tricks. Well, almost never.
Well, almost, hardly ever.
Knowing that your partner's bids really mean what they really mean rather than what they mean.
Do you remember Rita when she was a lot of fun?
Oh, sure, Bill lived with
She
her.
was a character.
Rita took me in for a year.
I know.
I lived with her
Yeah.
in
Yes.
1975.
I remember that, Bill. We were over at Em and Bert's, and something had been going on at home, some celebration, and the decision was made that morning, pretty quick, because Rita had said, you know, why doesn't Bill just come and go home with me?
Yeah.
And that was, again, very typical of our family.
The other memories I have are her kids coming down here and spending the summer.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
we're not spending the summer. One
Dennis
spent
did.
with
Dennis,
Mary Ellen,
That was
yes.
the year that his dad died.
yeah, Dennis was down here for
Den-
3 months.
Dennis-
He was on the Murrayville ball team with Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was catcher, and I can't remember. I thought Pat was pitching, but I could be wrong.
Well, anyway, getting back to the bridge game. So Em and Mary Ellen are just learning to play bridge.
Right.
And they both got up and left the table, and Rita and I were partners, and she said, let's deal a fixed hand. Do you remember this? We bid a grand slam and made it. And, oh, of course, I'm just sitting there
They
cracking
thought
up.
they
I
were real
said-
cute and we were so stupid we didn't know what they were doing.
I said to Rita, we can't do this.
No way, not to your
She
sister.
said, well, she said, we'll do it for fun, Ede. Yeah. And remember how she used to bid that club? I said to the gals here, and I know people have that signal, you know, that weak club. Remember, Rita May said, if you're bidding a weak club, say a club. If it's a strong club, say one club. I said, Rita, that's cheating. What was it? What was it? Christopher said the other night.
Oh, Christopher was
No,
so
Christopher.
cute. He said, well, everybody cheats sometimes. He was sober as a judge. He said, well, you know, everybody cheats sometimes.
He came out
So
the other night
good.
and said, Aunt Teedie isn't winning, Grandma. What can I do to help her win? I said, well, you're going to have to help her if she can't win. That's when you're in the
I was
dressing room.
pretending not to win so he could win.
Oh, he was all upset.
He was worried because I wasn't winning.
Then when he came out here,
No.
Mary Ellen, was you and I sitting on the couch? He said, would you move so Amanda can
Oh,
just lay down
No,
here?
I wouldn't. I
She's
was
got
sitting there.
tired legs.
Yeah, there were two people sitting, but I thought that was so sweet, wasn't it? Just to ask them to move over so his sister could be on the
Because
couch.
her legs were tired.
And then when we were trying to get the picture of the nativity scene, the snapshot down there, and he looked and
Oh,
he said, oh, baby Jesus is really grown. They had a little tiny one in their nativity scene. Of
This
course,
one was
I said to Chris, I bet he thought that was a long trip if Jesus grew that since he left. Oh, he is a character, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, Bill, this has been great of you to take time to ask
Yeah.
these questions and find out some of the history. I've learned a lot too this morning listening because I was the baby at home and I didn't remember
know
all
that
of
mother
this.
went up and met her up the road with
I didn't need to
with
talk
the
about
food.
the spoiled brat.
I was lucky.
It really did spoil her, didn't she?
I was lucky, yes.
But then after all, Teedie's the one who came home and looked
Took care of
after
her,
mother. It really took a lot of worry off of us. Of course, she came home to drive the car. That was the main reason. We decided we couldn't get her out of the car.
Was that the Chevrolet, the gray one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to
Well,
that?
tell him the story on that.
Oh, I drove that car until about a year ago right now. And it was a wonderful car. It just had a good pickup on it. Well, tell the story, Teedie. Mother left the car to Teedie. Take it from there.
Well, Mother left the car to me and
She couldn't own anything.
I couldn't own anything. But anyway, Mary Ellen, no, all of us were good to Mother and Daddy. I mean, every one of us were good to Mother and Daddy. But there were long years there where Mary Ellen always did Mother's laundry and just did a lot of special things for Mother. And I just thought it was a good idea to give the car to Mary Ellen. So I just gave it to Mary Ellen. Again, having learned from Mother and Daddy, you know, to care about the family and to take care of others. So I just gave it to Mary Ellen, and I was so happy. She got a lot of good wear out of it.
How many years did you
When
drive
I
that?
moved with Aunt, well, Mother died in 1985, and I had it until last year,
Oh, my God.
94.
How many miles did it have on it?
And
It was a good car.
after I moved with them, I didn't use it much. I mean,
If we went any place, any distance,
when
we
we
used my car.
when we go on a trip or go any distance at all, I used
This one.
I used Mother's car just for running around to make
Short trip.
trips in town. It had 140-some thousand miles on it, but it looked wonderful.
Yes, it did.
Well, Mary Ellen had it painted and
Well,
took
I
care
had
of it.
taken
Excuse
good-
me.
And it was kept in the garage all the time, and whenever it had rust spots or whatever, I knew a guy that could do that without charging for a whole paint job. And, but I took it in because it was acting up. And the guy said, well, it would take between $500 and $700 to fix it. And he said, that's okay. But I couldn't guarantee you that I wouldn't have to do it on the other side. I don't remember what it was now. So I said, well, I'm not going to spend that kind of money on it.
And that old car and that many miles.
But I want to tell you what, the guy at the garage, his dad saw that car, and of course it's a good looking car.
yeah.
It is.
It is.
And he fixed it for his dad. Well, of course he's a mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
David Zink, and he could do the work and didn't cost him anything. And his dad's still running that car around town.
So did you get anything for it?
Yeah, you paid
Oh.
or something.
Yes, I probably.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
I think he gave me, I don't remember what in.
You'd have been lucky to get $400 or $500
Oh,
for it.
it wasn't that much. I think he gave me 200,
I
maybe,
think it was
maybe
200.
250.
But it wasn't working.
Hmm.
Like, it wasn't
They
drivable.
had to spend $400 or $500.
I have a truck at home that's gonna need a new engine, that's $2,000, and I'm not gonna put that kind of money into it. It's got 140,000 on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you remember Mother's massive resurrection in the homily. Monsignor Driscoll said, "You may think that the happiest people to see Emma coming into heaven were Con and Margaret on their 75th wedding anniversary. Was that the day she died?" But he said, that's not true. He said it was her guardian angel who rode shotgun with Emma all those years in that Chevy.
That's what I was saying about the statue of St. Christopher.
Yeah, with his eyes covered. Well, a lot of this, of course, as far as Mother and Dad's personality were concerned, you remembered them. And Mother, you were always one of Mother's
Yeah.
favorites.
Oh,
Used to
except the
come
day
on.
she asked me to mow the lawn and I mowed over her flowers thinking they
Oh,
were weeds.
oh,
Boy,
oh,
that'll get you out of that chore real quick.
Oh, I tell you, you weren't very popular after that.
No, ma'am.
Oh.
But Bill, you used to come out and visit Mother, I remember. Of course, all the grandchildren were very good to Mother.
But there were always chores to do.
Remember
Yeah,
your
oh
visits.
yes.
Yeah, Adam was saying the other day, he could remember, he said, I remember going out to Grandma. He said, there was a hill we went up. And you know, there's no hills out
The
there.
cave.
He was talking about the
The
cave.
cave,
Said,
sure.
And I'd take him out, you know, we'd come out and relieve you on weekends.
Sure.
And I would take Adam with
Yeah,
me a
he
lot
says
of
he
times. If
stayed
I
there
told him I would
overnight.
babysit, of course, it was wonderful. And I thought he'd be entertainment for Mother,
Yeah.
which he was. you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
She loved to have small kids around.
She loved children.
If they didn't make a noise when she was sleeping.
That nap was sacred.
Mother
Yeah,
always
But
had
Adam remembers Grandma.
Yeah, he does.
Something I'd like to share about Grandma, that Rita and I had always planned that before we retired, we would go to Europe. And the year Mother was 85 years old, we decided that was the year maybe that we would go. Rita wasn't real keen on going. She thought maybe she couldn't swing it financially that year. But she said, since it's Mother's 85th year, we'll go. And so we went to Europe. We flew to London. Mother always used Mogan David wine as a little sleep
Promoter.
promoter. Anyway, she took along this, I don't know how much. Anyway, we were gone 30 days. And by the time we left, we flew from Chicago into London. Our hotel was right by a subway or an elevated or something, trains all night long. By the time we left London, we were there 2 nights. She had consumed all her Mogan David.
She hit the bottle then.
Any place we would go,
She wasn't
Mother
motivated.
was looking for Mogan David wine. They'd never heard of it. It was all dry
It was
wine.
simply grape juice. That's pretty much what Mogan David was.
But 2 things happened on that trip that were that Rita and I chuckled about, and I've told the stories many times. We were on a tour. Mother couldn't figure out why in the world anyone would go to Europe, any tour group would go to Europe, and didn't go to Lourdes. That wasn't on our tour. Nor why we didn't have an audience with the Pope. We were in Rome, but we didn't have an audience with the
This was
Pope.
a teacher's outfit.
It was the Illinois, it was an education association trip. But when we were in Florence, they would hand us these little brochures of places we were going, things we were going to see. So when the bus stopped to go into the museum where David, you know, the sculpture of David,
Famous
Michelangelo's David, Mother had been reading about it, and it said it was a nude statue. So I said to Mother, we were all getting off the bus, and I said, aren't you going to go in here? And she says, indeed I'm not. I wouldn't get off this bus to go look at a naked man.
And
So
she would be
felt
outspoken
that's
about
what
it
she
too.
And the other thing, on the way home, the night before we left to come back to the States, we were staying overnight in Amsterdam. And our bus driver told us that he was giving a little private tour of the red light district that night for anybody that wanted to sign up to go. Mother hadn't the vaguest notion of what a red light district was,
She really did.
and she wanted to go. So we thought we would, and people on the bus kept saying, you're not going, your mother's not going on that tour this week. No, I don't think she will. We thought during the dinner time we'd be able to persuade her that maybe she ought to stay at her motel, since we were going back home the next day and it was a long flight. Anyway, she said, I've done everything that you've done and I'm going to do this too. So she got on the bus and went down. Emil was going to let us off at a central place, and then he gave us specific instructions, you know, don't more than two walk together, and don't talk to people, and, you know, just kind of walk and try to be unobserved in the crowds. So we got to the bus, and Rita was sitting, Mother was sitting by the window, and Rita was sitting on the outside, and Mother says, well, everybody's getting off, let's get off. And Rita says, we're not going, Mother. Well, you can imagine what Mother said then. Rita says, I'll tell you about it when they get off. So we got off, and then Rita explained to Mother what a red light district was. She didn't have a clue. When we got back on, I was sitting behind them, and Mother turned around, looked at me, and she says, well, I'm ashamed of you.
Oh,
But
gosh.
she knew what the red light district was about after
Oh,
that.
dear.
But Mother made a hit wherever she went. There was a couple on this tour. I still hear from, the man died about 5 years ago, but I still hear from Charlotte every year at Christmas. And the year that, this was in 1975, and the next year, their name was Oliver, Bob and Charlotte Oliver, were going to go to the Holy Land the next year, and they wrote and invited Mother to go to the Holy Land with them. So that's the kind of an impression.
But Mother did get to have an audience with the Pope. You remember that, don't
You mean the Pope got to have an audience with
Yeah,
Mother?
right. When the Pope came to Chicago,
Yeah.
Connie got tickets. I didn't know how Connie had some connection. Anyway, Mother
The
got
security.
What year would that have been? 80?
It's the year before Al and Linda were married.
81, I think. I think it was
That's
81.
about
They were
right.
married, maybe.
Mhm.
Their anniversary's over here on the calendar, isn't it? They were married in February.
That was when you guys were all going down to see the Pope, and I stayed home at Connie's with Mother, and we watched it on TV.
Mhm.
Mother was always a little more content.
Now this
somebody
is
stayed with
the couple You know where we went to the bar after the Pope's Mass? This is the one that the fireplace
He
exploded.
died.
And her fireplace exploded the night before last.
But she came out with just a broken wrist. She didn't get
Yeah.
married.
Ariel and Linda were married in 1980.
Well, that's close, 1980, hopefully.
16 years they've been married. Yeah, they aren't playing being robbed.
It's called Tempus Fugit.
What's that?
Time flies. Tempus Fugit.
How did you and Uncle Don end up with that bar in Jacksonville?
Well, Rick and Terry had been to Vietnam. All they ever wanted to do was farm. They were going to farm. And so Don said, well, there's not enough here for 2 families, for 3 families, let alone 2. There's not enough for 2 families, let alone 3 families. And I don't know if this bar was for sale, and Don knew about it somehow. And that was just a chance to do something where he could make money and give the boys a chance to farm.
And you and Don did real well with that bar, too.
Oh, yeah.
The IC and Mac crowds just flock to that place, and they still do. I have friends who still go there, and they say it's usually packed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don sold it when, well, you know, he had health problems, and he also had a lot of back problems. And he just decided these 2 young men wanted to buy it, Bob Underbrink and Danny Kindred.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he sold about I really don't know when he sold it. But anyway, he continued to work there. They wanted him to stay on, and he continued to work there. He worked a week before he died in 1985. I think he sold about 1979, 1980.
Yeah, I knew Danny because I worked with him at Colorcraft.
Oh, sure, Bill, you used to drive for
That's right, you
Colorcraft.
did drive for Colorcraft, didn't you? And you knew Dave real well, didn't you, Dave?
Dave Surratt.
Surratt?
Yep.
Surratt.
Actually, Dave, the younger Dave, his dad's name was Dave too, under David.
I never knew his dad. His dad
No,
died
the
when he
boy's
was
name
pretty
isn't
young.
David. What was the boy's name?
Oh, Greg.
David's son.
Greg.
Greg, that's
Greg.
right.
And Greg has an outfit like that too, or do.
Greg was the one that showed, I worked there part-time for about a year and a half, and then Greg showed me a route, so then I got on there full-time.
Oh, did he? Yeah, Dave probably had him working. They've retired now and moved out to Virginia.
The state
Where
of, the state of,
Colleen's folks.
the state of Virginia.
Colleen Surratt, his wife.
What was her maiden name?
Oh, it was,
They were out of towners.
they were out of town, you didn't know them.
Not in Jacksonville.
But,
This is off the subject. It doesn't matter.
anyway, he promised Colleen that when they retired that he would move back there. So they bought a home and they did move back when he retired. And her mother and dad are still living, but I think one of them's in a nursing home now. And their name was Driver, that was her name, but as I say, they met while they were in service.
How did you and Uncle Bert end up with the farm where you and Mary Ellen are now? The house.
Oh, that belonged to his mother and dad. And we bought out the
To
other
Uncle
kids.
Bert's?
Uncle Bert's mother and dad bought that to have to retire, to live there after they retired. And anyway, it belonged to all the kids, so we bought the other kids out.
So how many acres are
Oh, there's
there?
only 30 acres. You couldn't even make a living on it.
So the land that Chuck's house is on is
They-
part of that property?
Yes, right. And when he bought that, he paid. He said it wouldn't be good to have a house sitting here and then something would happen to the property, so he bought like for $1 or $2, for his lot there next door. But of course, Bert and I both put it in the boys' names because we said if we went to a nursing home, my gosh, they'd be gone within a year. If both of
The
us were
state will
nursing
sell that to finance your
Yeah,
care.
if you own anything, and it was long enough, we had done that 5 years before Bert died. It has to be done 5 years before. So it's in Chuck and Jimmy's name now. And that's this man now that maybe will buy the place where Mother was, called out one evening and wanted to know if we'd have a plot of ground out there that he could build on. And he met where we lived.
Jack Leonard,
And
Bill
Jack-
Jacques and
Jack Leonard.
I went to school with his daughter,
Nice.
Julie.
And I said, oh, no, Jack. I said, it doesn't even belong to me, it belongs to the boys. And, but I said, incidentally though, you know where Mother lived, that place is gonna be for sale. Oh, yeah. He knew where it was. He said, he knew how many miles it was from Crossroads. And I guess that's the way
He used to
went
play
up.
cards with Dad.
And so they're kinda interested in it. I hope they'll buy it so we won't have to auction it and, you know, not be bothered.
So
with
what
that.
will come with that? Just the acreage, the house, and the barns?
And
Or
just, that's all. Whoever buys it, they'll build a house. Or
who owns the acreage out there
that
now?
one up, Uncle Jim. I mean, it belongs to Aunt Kay now. He bought the farm from the rest of us.
Who's farming it?
Well, whoever Becky has farming.
Somebody by the name of Ginder, Gary Ginder.
Ginder, I think, is doing it now. But
I wonder if that's Sarah's brother.
It is Sarah's brother.
So that's Billy Sumter's wife.
That's right.
So it's her brother.
That's her brother.
Wow. Small world, isn't it?
It
that's
is.
who it
Yeah.
is. And they will just own what's on the corner there, you know. It's been, well, Chuck said they'd have to have it surveyed if they put it up for auction. They'll have to know exactly how many acres. But if Leonard bought it, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't?
They wouldn't. No, he wouldn't have to,
They'll
because he's
have-
not interested in the ground.
But they'll have to have a legal description.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, well. Well, anyway, they'll just be a lot of expensive. I hope we don't have to auction it. It was assessed at $39,500. We had already had someone do that.
Does that seem pretty reasonable?
39. Yes, I think it is, but you know, there's no water there.
They're gonna have to drill
You'd
a
have
new
to
well.
drill a well. Becky said they'd never get water, but I don't believe that.
Oh, well.
I think they would.
It's a beautiful location.
It's a wonderful,
It's,
you know, on the corner like it is,
Location
you don't
is
get a
beautiful.
corner lot like that. And look how close it is to the lake.
Yeah.
These people are retiring, this is so unusual. Say most people are moving to the city, you know, when they retire. These people live in the city all their life, he's a plumber,
Mhm.
trade, and they're moving to the country. They've already contacted the neighbors there.
well, it's a beautiful
It's,
home, and you know, our memories of it are that it was a beautiful place. That's the memory that we have, and it certainly has potential of being a beautiful place.
Yeah, if she hadn't thrown away all the woodwork.
Yeah.
This second house that we bought, they had done that too. They stripped out all the woodwork.
Yeah.
That's really a shame.
Well, sometimes what people see is progress, you know.
But, you know, when Mike and Denise put their home on the market, the realtor said, you need to paint the woodwork.
But you know,
Everything's white. Mike said I've spent too many hours refinishing and making this woodwork look pretty, but
Oh,
that's, you know,
he wanted
but you know
to
what, Mom? If they'd have gotten another realtor in there, he would have probably told them a whole different story. That's happened to us.
Could be.
That's happened to
Could
us.
be.
Well, you know.
Where did you and Dad met in the service?
right. You've got all this down, haven't you?
Yeah, we don't really need to go into
No.
that.
Because I think we did that when I was up there
Yeah.
last summer.
I was. Do you remember what Uncle Don's parents did? What did his father do for a living?
His dad worked for the Wabash Railroad.
Oh, really?
He was a
And he had that insurance, didn't he, before he died, which was good. He had cancer. And
Oh, yeah, they had a good health plan that took care of their employees. But they had to go to their own railroad hospital. For example, he had to go to Decatur for his cancer surgery, and any time he had to see the doctor, he had to go to Decatur. It was the closest place to
Which
go.
was a hardship, I know, is
Was
ill as he was.
So would he have been working for the Wabash Railroad at the turn of the century then?
No. He lived on a farm in Missouri, and Don was born in 1916. And Don was about 2 years old when they came to St. Louis, so it wasn't until about probably during World War I that Mr. English started working for the railroad.
Where in Missouri?
Fulton.
Oh, Missouri. That's not too far west of St. Louis. Isn't
Don
it?
was born at Martinsburg, St. Louis, Missouri.
Martinsburg?
Martinsburg.
Because it's funny, we just had this discussion about Dunsets in Missouri and Illinois,
Really?
2 weeks ago with her Uncle Jim. It's kind of amazing how they got split up between Illinois and Missouri. And I guess I'm kind of wondering how far back we have to go to find out who was born out of the country, who first immigrated.
Okay, your grandfather, my dad's grandfather, is buried in Calvary Cemetery, Jacksonville, out of Calvary. And he and his wife both came to this country from Ireland, and tells the year they came and where they lived in Ireland. One was from Tipperary County, I know that. And the year of the birth. So that's on a tombstone. That's easy to find.
And there were 3 in Grandpa's family.
They were what?
I thought you said earlier that there were 3 in Grandpa's family.
Grandpa Lonergan?
He had 2, yeah.
No,
Con Lonergan,
no,
he had 2
no,
other
no.
brothers.
He had 2 brothers, but he also had 3 sisters.
Oh.
There were 4 sisters. And Allie and Aunt Nellie and Aunt Lena
Aunt Bridget.
and Aunt Bridget. There were 4 girls and
So
3 boys.
There were 7 in that.
And then Dad had a brother that died, John. So there were 7 in his family to begin.
How did John die?
He died, they thought it was appendicitis or something, when he was a young boy, 16 years old. And he's buried, they're all buried in St. Bartholomew's Cemetery.
So how far back on Grandma's side do we have to go before we get to immigrants?
You mean
Her
Brown?
dad.
Tarswell?
Tarswell.
Came from England.
Her parents came from
Her
England.
dad
Okay.
came from England. He was 6 years old. And his mother had a boarding house in Jacksonville. Grandpa Tarswell's mother.
What did Grandpa Tarswell do for a living?
He farmed until he retired and moved to Jacksonville. And then you probably never did go blackberrying down where Uncle Harry lived, did you?
No.
When we were kids, Dad always got us up about 4 o'clock in the morning to go blackberry down at Uncle Harry's. And that's where he farmed, and then when he moved away when he retired, I think Uncle Frank moved there from what Raymond said, and I didn't know that. Uncle Frank was one of Mother's brothers. Lived where, Grandpa?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't know he did.
Yes, I think he did. He told me that they did.
How many kids in Grandma's family?
You mean Mother?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a family picture that you have to zoom in on.
Okay.
It's,
Yeah.
Mother had, there was Uncle Frank and Uncle Harry and Uncle Jess.
Okay.
So
I remember
3
Jess.
brothers.
I remember Jess. He's the only one I do remember.
Okay. And then she had Aunt Margaret and Aunt Rose and Mother. There were 3 girls and 3 boys.
They were sick.
And then they had 2 deceased children who died in infancy, 2 boys. So there were actually 8 in Mother's family, but only 6 lived to adulthood.
So, where are we?
Naples, Florida.
We are in Naples, and it is sunny and beautiful.
We
Somebody
can
said-
call it quits. It's been very enlightening.
Well, it has for me
And
too.
there's going to be a lot of pictures to accompany it too. So
Mhm.
I'll just have to
Wonderful.
make a trip to Jacksonville and
To get the pictures.
get some pictures from Butch and get some pictures
You
from
know,
you and Annie.
Some from
Lately,
Butch.
Bill, that picture that I told you was family picture was taken out Grandpa Tarswell's farm the Sunday before they left the farm. And Em and I lately, in November, had a birthday dinner for our cousin Ray Tarswell, who is same age as I am. And we happened to be together, and we were talking about our birthdays, and that I'm just a little bit younger than he is. So Em, and he was talking about liking pumpkin pie, and Em said, well, I'll make you pumpkin pie for your birthday. So they came out, and we took this family picture down and decided everybody in the family is there. There are only 3 people in that picture that are still living. It was Em and Ray and I.
Really?
We were just
Really?
kids and just babies.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Oh, it's a beautiful picture.
Very good
So in a few years, you'll be looking at these and say, oh, look at all those people that are gone. Yep.
So what are, you've got to have some fond memories of Christmases or birthdays or
Oh.
Easters
Yes.
out on the farm?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess the first Christmas that I really was impressed was the Christmas I got a sleeping doll. And we had gone into Grandma and Grandpa's in Jacksonville. And on the way home in front of Claude Winters, were you kids in the car? The car caught on fire. Anyway, we all jump out of the car, and Jim stuck his finger through the sleeping doll's eyes. And I am standing there just bawling my eyes out. Can you imagine? The car on fire, I'm not the least bit concerned.
Why did he do that? To be ornery?
Boys are like that.
Yeah, we are. We're good at that. We have to work at it, though.
And the first Christmas, I realized there wasn't a Santa Claus. I was asking for a dinner bucket because some of the kids going to country grade school had dinner buckets, and we carried ours in syrup cans or whatever. And Em was evidently helping Mother with Santa Claus, and she wrote a note that said Santa Claus ran out of dinner buckets. I recognized her right.
She recognized my
And that blew it for
She
me.
didn't know
No
Santa.
more Santa Claus.
She didn't know Santa Claus wrote like I did.
How about you, Annie? What are some of your memories of Christmases or
Oh,
birthdays?
my greatest memory was, see, we would go into Grandpa and Grandma Tarswell's, but I guess then when the family started getting larger, they had Grandpa and Grandma come out to our house, right? That was easier for those two to move than it was to move all of us kids in there. Well, anyway, Mother used to get the candy ahead of time, and very often I found out where the candy was.
Oh.
We just kept getting a little bit every day, you know. We left some there. She had it hid in the washing machine, remember, down in the basement? And I was up at the top of the stairs because I was waiting to see what in the world happened. And then after that candy, I knew there wasn't going to be enough candy then. So, there I was sitting, and she came up, and Mother said to Dad, Con, do you know those kids have been in that candy, and there's hardly any down there.
What kind of candy was it?
Hard
candy.
Oh, that hard candy.
That's the only kind
And
of
it sticks
and
to
they
the
put it
bottom
in
of the stock.
Well, Grandpa and Grandma Tarswell were there, so they came to the rescue because Grandpa had brought candy, so we still got candy. And it wasn't that stupid, we were eating our own candy.
Mother would hang the stockings on a clothesline in the kitchen. Do you remember this? And
And an orange one in first, a big orange.
that's
And
for
then a
only time of the
banana.
year we got an
No, I
orange.
think the banana went first, didn't it? Because it went down the toe of the sock.
No, the
Oh,
orange,
whichever.
orange one at the toe of the sock.
That's the way I
And then
fix the
banana.
grandkids' socks now.
And then, you know, they buy, you could go any store today and buy stocking stuffers, what they call, well, the rest of the stocking was stuffed with hard candy that's stuck together. and stuck to the sock.
Stocking, oh
I'm
God.
glad we ate it ahead of time. They wasn't stuck together.
How about you, Aunt Mary Ellen? What are some of the Christmases you remember?
I guess we remember gifts that we get more than anything else. And the thing that I remember most of all is Em and I got a little desk with a little chair to go with it, and you could raise the top up and we could keep our pencils and things inside, and that was
neat.
that's the only thing that I ever got that I really remember very
And
much
Jim
about.
didn't break that, did he?
And how impressed I was because this is a big, it's like stands that high and has the little chair to go with it. It was neat.
What do you remember?
The other Christmas I remember too was when they gave Jim a pool table. Now,
Yeah.
that was really something. And of course, we played pool with him and we beat him all the time.
Uncle Jim?
He wasn't very happy with it. Well, he was just a little kid and we were a lot bigger.
How big a pool table was it?
Well, it was miniature.
Not much
Oh,
bigger
oh,
than this
okay.
coffee
It was
table.
probably as long as that. It wasn't, it's not a pool table like you're thinking about, but
Not
anyway.
like the McNeelys have in their family.
No.
No way.
Okay, Teedie, what's yours?
Oh, well, of course, I've believed in Santa Claus for a long
I
time.
guess you did.
Oh, I
You didn't
did.
let him know you did.
You worked that for all
Oh,
you
it was wonderful. But the thing I remember most was a darling gray and red snowsuit. It was just darling. Of course, I had a dog at home.
Skip.
Skip was my dog. And I can remember putting on that snowsuit, and I couldn't wait to get outside to run with the dog.
Picture.
I think
They're wonderful. But I have wonderful memories of growing up because, I was lucky. I had my, Jim and all my sisters who were good to me, plus Mother and Dad babied me quite a bit. So I was really lucky. I got a good deal. Man, what a
Even though you
deal.
came along with the
Were
depression.
the days, my friends, I thought they'd never end.
Yeah.
Whenever anything really difficult is in our lives, and we've all been through our own hells in our lives, I always say to myself, I know, number one, I have faith in God. We all say this. I'm saying I, but we all say, well, we've got faith in God, and we've got good genes, and that's a
Yes,
winning combination.
We do. I'll drink to that.
Okay, I'll drink to that. Faith in God and good genes.
Amen.
Here's to God. Well, I don't have it here.
Yeah,
This is.
look nice. I don't know who says.
I told you to take mine because I couldn't drink anymore. Well, get out here for the final toast, Bill. Let's have. I
Oh,
think
he's
Joy
having a
is.
beer.
That's all right.
Oh.
That's allowed, isn't it?
Yes,
That's
it
all.
is.
Absolutely.
Well, and this is probably ending up my 75th birthday, and it has been beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It has
And
been.
I guess the most beautiful part was having all of my family here. And I just like to package it all up and keep it forever.
Mm-hmm. We partied the other night, but Mass the other morning was so beautiful. I wish
Yes.
everybody who questioned Ede's decision about moving to Florida could have been at that party and could have seen all the friends that Ede has made. I mean, and real friends, because they showed by the generosity of their gifts how much they love her. And what a wise move it was, Ede.
Right.
Oh, and what a great place it is to visit.
Yes, yes, it is.
That
For
is,
sure. We think we're lucky to have somebody like you, Bill, and Joy, that are interested in your family history and willing to take time to talk about it. and
Well,
make
from what I
medicine.
understand, we're only a small portion of America. 7% of adults are pursuing family history. But it sounds like Butch is much more involved in it than.
Not in the history part, just in collecting the pictures.
Yeah, but that's
and the
part of
pictures.
it. I mean,
Sure
that's half of it, if not 75% of it.
You'll need to visit Butch.
But you need somebody to tell you this is who this is and this is when this was taken.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
you would be amazed when Mother, when we were cleaning out Mother's house, when everything was, all the pictures, all the drawers were being emptied and so on. I took lots and lots of photographs of Mother's cousins, the Robinsons, and I thought she would be Mother's cousin's daughter, Mary Elizabeth Farrell Ring. I thought she would be thrilled with these pictures. She said, I don't want those things.
This would be her dad and mother we were
Yeah,
talking about
and she would
earlier
know.
that wanted to rent the white horses and the carriage.
They
That
didn't
was her
want to
dad and
buy.
mother.
They didn't want to buy them. They just wanted to rent
See,
them.
but you just said it, only 7% of the people are pursuing this kind of interest.
Yeah, but it would be interesting to know how they came up with that figure. I mean, they don't have dips or tabs on what I'm doing. Well, how was this survey
I
taken?
don't know.
I think that number's a little higher than 7%. Because they haven't counted my head or Joy's head in that 7%.
How much percent did you say?
7% of adults in America.
Well, you know, I think it's too bad. Dad and Mother never talked. Mother talked more about family than Dad ever did. But Dad was just a quiet person.
Dad didn't
Yeah,
talk.
I mean, our dad was like that. I hardly know anything about Dad's parents or where his parents came from.
Yeah.
I knew that they were into a little bit of furniture
Aunt
making and
Florence
gardening.
talked. If you ever get a chance, and of course I'm sure you won't, but she loved to talk about family.
Did she?
And yeah,
Mother was always quoting
yeah.
Papa and Mama.
Yeah.
Just kind of like we are always quoting Mom and Dad. Mother's always quoted, well, Mama and Papa.
I was wondering if we could just touch a little bit on some of the modellies. Is that what you're calling them?
Mhm.
Yes.
Just a couple of them.
Well, the famous
The
one is
yeah.
I'll be diddly damned. You know, well, I'll be diddly damned.
I remember that one.
That's a good one.
She said that in front of you, Bill.
Oh, I heard that every time we broke that ball out in the yard.
You
I'll
recall?
be diddly damned.
Oh, I bet she said
Another
more
one.
than that.
Another one.
You
She went through more of those glass balls than I would like to remember.
And she would always replace them.
I know.
No matter how often
Oh,
the kids
she
broke
really
them.
liked it.
She would
I think we finally wised up and started moving the thing when we started playing football out there.
Mm. She really
Well,
liked
I think it would be appropriate to end this segment by saying some of the things I came up with the help of my sisters and everybody that remembers Mother talking about 51 homilies, sayings that Mother used to have. And I kind of put them in categories like faith, fact, puzzlement, so many things she said that
You didn't
just didn't make
understand.
any sense at all, you know, like something is whopper jawed. Well, what
Mary
does that
Ellen,
mean?
I think one you need to explain because they'll never understand it when they read it in the homilies. And hopefully, Mike is going to get this published in a book, little booklet form, which all of you will receive.
Mommy.
But, oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the one, stick this in your
hole for cork.
hole for cork. Now that needs to be explained. Explain what that meant.
What is it again?
I don't think I'm going to put that in the
Oh,
model.
yes, it needs to go in. Stick this in your hole for cork. Mother would say something and then she'd say, well, stick that in your hole for cork. Well, you know, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? But it's an old saying from the post offices over in Ireland. And they'd bring a piece of mail in, they'd say, stick this in the hole for cork. Cork, Ireland.
Or stick
County-
stick this in the hole for Tipperary.
Yeah, but
or
she's
stick
like
this
that.
in the hole for Dublin.
There was a
See?
county Cork, Ireland, and they'd bring it in and say, stick it in the hole for Cork. Now, when you read that in the homily, is that going to mean anything to you?
It's gonna sound to me like she's telling somebody to shut up.
I know it, I know
To
it.
shove it.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think that has to go in there. Let Bill explain what it means.
Okay, Bill. You can explain what it means.
The mail in Ireland.
Yeah, it's the mail in Ireland. But it must, well, you have a box that has a hole in it. It makes sense.
Everybody goes through.
That was a
After
good
it's
one.
explained.
But she had some that were not explainable. We've never figured out why.
Oh, what were
Mother
some
would
of those
say,
that
it's like a singed cat. It tastes better than it looks. Well, who in the hell is going
Make
to
'em
taste a
not a
singed
singed
cat?
cat.
Now, do you get any meaning out of that?
It's food that's on the table and it doesn't look that great.
Who explained the shitting to his four the other night?
Emily did. Oh, that was a big one of Daddy's.
After all the, Dad, yeah.
Dad said that one.
Shitting to his four. Well, how can shitting to mean four? Explain it in.
Say, well, shit is called number two, you know, number one, number two. Well, shit is number 2, and 2 equals 4. That's what they were saying.
Would you have figured
never
that
I never
out?
thought about it before, but that's what they were saying.
So there's gonna be a lot of
in grade
these.
school, and we had to go out to the toilet outside, incidentally. In country school, if you just wanted to urinate,
Yeah.
it was number 1, and if you really had
And that's
to
the
go
truth.
do your
'Cause
job, it
number
was
two
number 2.
took it.
What did
What's
this
3?
mean?
I don't know what 3 was.
Number 2 took a little longer. That's the only one you didn't get saved.
wouldn't believe how-
It was
You wouldn't believe how many had number 2 all the time. You'd think they had the rugs.
Well, when you say the outhouse, I'm thinking of all the years that you guys smoked cigarettes out in the outhouse. Come in
Oh,
reeking of smoke, and they
You've got
thought,
this turned off, haven't you?
Mother and Dad didn't know they were smoking. They were smoking, coming in
You ought to
reeking.
tell about what Dad said about you and Ede.
When we were living at home during the war, Dad and Mother gave us their bedroom. We were home with Connie and Butch,
It'd be
so we could
downstairs
have
for
the
the
downstairs
kids.
bathroom. Be handy. Anyway, Marilyn and I'd sit down there at night with Butch and Connie, and we'd be writing our letters and just smoking up a storm. Uncle Harry came one night. You couldn't get cigarettes during World War II. You had to stand in line. He knew we smoked. Mother and Dad knew. But Mother knew, but she didn't want to smoke in front of Dad. That was stuff.
That was your excuse.
Well, Dad chewed. Grandpa chewed.
Oh, did he chew? Yeah. Anyway, Uncle Harry says at the dinner table that night, I've got some cigarettes for you girls. You know. Uncle Harry. Dad looked over and he said, well, I'd come down to the bathroom at night. I knew Butch and Connie weren't smoking. That living room would be loud with smoke.
What did the half moon indicate on those outhouses? The
That was for ventilation.
crescent.
The ventilation was plenty of it was underneath. The wind had come up underneath.
I still can't figure out why we didn't all grow up with constipation problems.
Just put it off going.
Oh, I can remember. Oh,
I was always afraid I'd fall in.
Oh, I know. If you were pretty little, you could. Some of those holes were pretty good size. Didn't they have them for the adults and the kids?
yeah, oh yeah, they had.
Holders. We only had one holder.
Mama bear, Papa
Did we
bear,
have
and
2
baby
holders
bear.
or
Huh?
one?
Ours are 2 holders. Or at least that
And
might
there was
remember.
no such thing as toilet paper, you know.
No,
it was for toilet
catalogs.
paper.
Oh,
The
that's
catalog.
A catalog?
Yeah,
Big Sears
Oh, yeah.
catalog,
that's what you.
that's what we used for paper.
Oh, no, we never had toilet
When you used to
paper.
come to our house, we had an outside toilet. We didn't have catalogs. Well, when we were growing up, there was no such thing as manufactured toilet paper.
No, that's
Nor
what.
tissue,
Or sliced bread.
or
Oh,
paper
no.
towels.
No,
Yeah, sliced bread.
no, didn't have size.
Oh, there
There's
were a
this-
lot of things.
Yeah.
But then you could send a letter for
For 3
3
cents.
cents. Now it's 30.
Buy a gallon of gas for what, 10?
Yeah, about 10 cents. We used to buy half a
Where's
gallon of
the
gas.
I don't know.